Chapter 922. Buried with Lin Xia. Zhao Zizhao held Lin Xia's still warm body in his arms. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at the nearby Jiangchen. He looked like he'd just crawled out of hell. His oppressive, murderous aura frightened Jiangchen. "Brat, are you provoking me?" After a brief moment of absent-mindedness, Jiangchen narrowed his eyes at Zhao Zizhao and snorted. An ant-like existence like Zhao Zizhao was naturally infuriating. But this person worked for Gu Li, and Gu Li had the beast's soul essence. Ingo's soul might very well dissipate. He couldn't afford to let the beast's soul essence slip through his fingers. He suppressed his anger and stared at Zhao Zizhao, hoping to use his intimidation to wake him up. However, this sort of intimidation was no longer effective against Zhao Zizhao. Lin Xia was dead. He'd joined the demons and colluded with Gu Li. All of this was for the sake of his grand ambitions. But he truly loved Lin Xia. There was no falsehood in his actions. He could say that Lin Xia was just a bargaining chip, but he loved her. From the very beginning, he made it clear that he was going to let Lin Xia go. If nothing had happened to Lin Xia, he could have continued to hide like a cowardly tortoise until he felt the situation was under his control. But now that Lin Xia was dead, all of the lofty aspirations in his heart had disappeared. "Didn't I tell you to let her go?" Zhao Zizhao stared at Jiangchen without the slightest hint of fear in his bloodshot eyes. His voice was hoarse. "What did you promise me?" "You said that would be as easy as lifting a finger." "That's right, I did promise you that. But she dared provoke me and even hurt me." "What? Am I not allowed to fight back?" Jiangchen hated it when people spoke to him like that. His words were especially sinister. "I hurt you? So what if I hurt you?" Zhao Zizhao's eyes flashed with disdain. His hand flashed with white light, and Jiangchen's face instantly turned red. "Now I've hurt you too." "You?" Jiangchen furrowed his brows when he felt the pain in his face. He stretched out his hand and was about to kill it. But in the end, he forcefully suppressed the flames. "Brother Zhao, I was too angry at that time. You should know the relationship between Ingo and me. He died to save us, causing my emotions to fluctuate. That's why I accidentally killed her." Disdain. Zhao Zizhao looked at him disdainfully, his brows furrowed in disdain. "I know about your relationship with Ingo. You're a little emotional now that he's dead, killed by accident. Then you should know about my relationship with Lin Xia." But at that time, this woman clearly said, "Why do you care?" Zhao Zizhao cut him off. "Even if she said she wanted to kill me with her own hands, what does that have to do with you? I told you to let her go, but now you're telling me you missed?" From Zhao Zizhao's expression, Jiangchen could tell that he was no longer rational. Wasting words with him was a waste of effort. "Then tell me what you want to do." "I want her dog life," he blurted out. Zhao Zizhao cocked his head to the side, looking as if he had nothing left to live for. "I don't want anything else. I just want your life." "Zhao Zizhao, don't go too far. If it weren't for Gu Li, would you even have the right to speak to me?" Since his kind words had no effect, Jiangchen decided he might as well shed all pretense of cordiality and snorted. "Don't be so shameless. Do you really think you can control us just because you have the commander's seal? Don't forget, we're the ones in charge. Who do you think you are?" Zimming. Sitting on the ground, Zhao Zizhao smiled faintly. Not long after, Zhao Zimming ran over with a jade slip in his hand. "Give me the commander's seal." The commander's seal. Jiangchen's pupils constricted, but he didn't dare try to take it by force. Perhaps Gu Li was watching right now. If he displeased him in the slightest, he didn't move, but Zhao Zimming didn't return the commander's seal. "Big brother, that's not what you told me." "Give me the commander's seal," shouted Zhao Zizhao coldly. Zhao Zizhao shouted coldly. However, Zhao Zimming still did not give him the commander's seal. It seems you don't want to give it to me, little brother." Zhao Zizhao intentionally emphasized his brother's words, but Zhao Zimming didn't seem to care. "Big brother, Lord Gu Li didn't give you the commander's seal to let you act recklessly for your own selfish desires. It's best if you take care of the commander's seal. Also, this place is too dangerous. Big brother, you should hurry back. I'll have someone bury his sister-in-law's body." "Little brother Zimming, You understand the big picture, said Jiangchen. You really are my good little brother. You always think of me, your big brother, said Zhao Ziming with a calm smile. Zhao Ziming faintly smiled. Soon after, he narrowed his eyes and snorted. But my good little brother, don't tell me you have forgotten that even when you learned how to walk, Big Brother was the one who taught you. With that, Zhao Zizhao took out a jade talisman that was exactly the same as the one in Zhao Ziming's hand. Zhao Ziming, who was next to him, was instantly stunned when he saw this jade token. You didn't trust me from the start. It's not that I didn't trust you. It's just that you have to be on guard. Who knows if my good little brother will stab me in the back. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the blood zombies that were fighting with the people of the three realms all turned around and walked towards them. Hundreds of thousands of blood zombies moved at the same time, causing the ground to tremble. You really dare. Jiangchen's pupils constricted. He prepared to form a connection with the blood zombies. However, he discovered that his previous connection with the blood zombies had completely vanished. Soon after, his gaze fell onto the commander's seal. You feel it, don't you? Zhao Zizhao sneered. Since you call it commander's seal, it's naturally the only way to control the blood zombies. Even if you're the main body, what can you do? In the past, Jiangchen might not have cared about the blood zombies at all. However, Huahai had heavily injured him, and it was inconvenient for him to move around. Hanba and Hoqing had even ordered him to search for Ingo's soul. If the blood zombies really came, he would definitely die. Hand over the commander's seal. He didn't hesitate. Right now, he had no time to worry about Guli. All he wanted to do was take the commander's seal back. However, just before he made his move, Zhao Zizhao had already expected him to do so. He grabbed the commander's seal and slammed it against the ground, shattering it into pieces. Chapter 923. Move. He vanished. The zombie progenitors were dead. Ingo's sudden movements naturally caught Yi Zichen's attention. He'd been using his spiritual awareness to lock onto Ingo's position the entire time, until the rumblings stopped and Ingo disappeared. He really did disappear. In truth, Yi Zichen's mentality was quite similar to Huahai's. When the flower petals fell, he could face death with a heart of stone. Even he could be buried by flowers. However, when Ingo destroyed the flower burial, he couldn't help but sigh in relief. That had truly been a good opportunity to wipe out the demons and zombies. But now that he'd become the zombie progenitors and Ingo had died, that wasn't too bad. What's more, Ingo still had one of Donglong's souls. Right now, his only worry was what would happen to that soul. Would it self-destruct and disappear, or would it fall into the bodies of the other progenitors? If it was the latter, the situation was far from good. At the same time, the trembling in the depths of his heart completely dissipated. Guli looked up at the vanished black rose, then at the blood rain falling from the sky. He couldn't help but feel as if he'd just narrowly escaped death. Black Dragon hurried over. When he saw Guli, he couldn't help but laugh. Your Excellency, Black Dragon, are you in such a hurry to thank me? That's right. If it weren't for my subordinates, we might all have died. Huh? You don't feel the slightest bit of pain for your subordinates' deaths. Guli, you're ruthless enough. Black Dragon snorted. In his heart, he was somewhat grateful for Ingo's sacrifice. If it weren't for him, over 200,000 demon warriors would have died here, and the entire demon race would have been annihilated at his hands. If that really happened, how could he face his clansmen who'd been sacrificed alive? How could I not be sad? I'm very sad, said Guli, clutching his chest. Guli clutched his chest. No matter what, he was one of my 4 great generals. He died just like that. I can't help but feel some pain in my heart. But his death was worth it. At the very least, he saved so many of our lives. Huh? Black Dragon sneered, but didn't respond. He hated Guli's tone. Besides, the two of them had no choice but to cooperate. That was the only way they could stand side by side, peacefully. So long as he got rid of Yi Zichen, Guli would definitely die under his blade. Of course, Guli didn't know that, but he didn't say anything else. Then his gaze fell on Yi Zichen, and he smiled. Emperor Yi, shouldn't you thank me as well? Then how should I thank him? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then pointed at the zombies below. The zombies below you are acting a bit strangely. Look, is this a form of thanks? Unusual? Ghoulie didn't look over directly. Instead, he glanced out of the corner of his eye. The blood zombie was currently under the control of the commander seal that he had refined, so how could it possibly be acting abnormally? However, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed that the blood zombies were moving about in an unusual manner. Ghoulie furrowed his brows, then hurriedly turned his gaze to the horde of zombies. Then he saw Zhao Zizhao and Jiangshun facing off against each other. What are they doing? It seems your subordinates are fighting amongst themselves? Asked Yi Zichen. They weren't the only ones who noticed this. The people from the Three Realms also noticed the strange activity of the zombies. The zombies that were fighting with them all turned around and ran to the other side. When Luo Wei noticed this strange behavior, he first ordered his subordinates not to act rashly. Then he spread out his spiritual awareness. Before long, he saw Zhao Zizhao and Jiangshun fighting amongst themselves. Is this an act? Luo Wei furrowed his brows. He was rather hesitant when he saw this. Then he noticed Lin Shihe in Zhao Zizhao's arms. City Lord Lin. Luo Wei's heart trembled. The various city lords all had deep relationships with one another. He couldn't say for sure whether Lin Shihe was dead or alive, but judging from Zhao Zizhao's expression and his pale face, he was afraid that things didn't bode well for him. Pain flashed through his heart, but he quickly pushed his personal feelings to the back of his mind. Instead, he used logic to analyze the current situation. In the end, he came to the conclusion that this was an opportunity. It didn't matter whether Zhao Zizhao and Jiangshun's infighting was real or not. Right now, the people of the Three Realms were being pincered by the demons and zombies. Furthermore, their range of movement was constantly shrinking. If this continued, they'd be surrounded and annihilated. As he considered this, Luo Wei activated his spiritual power and roared, "Our chance has come. Brothers, let's charge out of the encirclement along the original path." Luo Wei led the charge. To his pleasant surprise, the zombies didn't attack him even when they saw him. Instead, they marched straight towards Jiangshun. It really was an infighting. The transmission rumbled. The people of the Three Realms followed Luo Wei's transmission and sped away. Their voices echoed into the ears of Jiangshun, Zhao Zizhao, and the others. Zhao Zizhao, do you know what you're doing? Did you hear that transmission? The people of the Three Realms are about to escape. If Ghoulie finds out, will you be able to bear the consequences? Jiangshun berated him righteously. In truth, he was only doing this for his own life. Whether the people of the Three Realms escaped or not had nothing to do with him. Zhao Ziming also tried to comfort him. Brother, don't make a mistake. You're afraid, aren't you? Sensing their anxiety, Zhao Zizhao smiled mockingly. Even if you're afraid, it's too late. I've already destroyed the commander's seal. Even I can't control the blood zombies anymore. Right now, they have no choice but to obey my orders before I destroy the commander's seal. Only then will they stop moving. Stop struggling. Let's die together. Zhao Zizhao. Jiangshun reached out, grabbed Zhao Zizhao by the collar, and dragged him to his feet. Zhao Zizhao didn't resist at all. He simply allowed Jiangshun to hover him in the air. Zhao Zizhao simply stared back at him with deathly eyes. Let's die together. What the hell are those two pieces of trash doing? Ghoulie couldn't help but roar inwardly. Zhao Zizhao couldn't die yet, and neither could Jiangshun. Aren't you going to go take a look? If you don't, TCH. Yi Zichen sneered. Ghoulie glanced back anxiously at him, then pursed his lips into a smile and said, Don't worry. Emperor Yi, you can't be thinking of sending me away, then. How could that be? Black Dragon is still keeping an eye on me. How could I possibly escape? Yi Zichen shrugged. Ghoulie merely snorted coldly, then left. Even if Yi Zichen escaped, he didn't care. His own backyard was on fire. Who cared about his home? The instant Ghoulie left, Yi Zichen, who'd been waiting to be slaughtered. Chapter 924. Psychological Warfare. The instant Yi Zichen moved, Black Dragon arrived beside Su Yin and Su Luer. Emperor Yi, you're in too much of a hurry. Before Ghoulie left, they'd communicated telepathically. Based on their understanding of Yi Zichen, If he wanted to leave, he definitely wouldn't abandon the two women. It was also because of this belief that they could stay here without any ripples in their hearts. Who knows? Yi Zichen stopped when he saw Black Dragon's location, then shrugged with a smile. But his expression was relaxed. Seeing this, Black Dragon couldn't help but frown. How could he laugh at a time like this? There must be a reason behind everything. Given the circumstances, it wouldn't take long for Gu Li to resolve the internal strife among the blood zombies. As long as this matter was resolved, the three realms would still be under the Demon Lord and blood zombies' encirclement. He was also keeping an eye on Su Lu and Su Yin, so it would be difficult for him to take them away. He should be looking anxious. Why was he smiling? Moreover, he looked so relaxed. Emperor Yi is Emperor Yi, after all. Even in a situation like this, he can still maintain his composure. Although this smile caused Black Dragon to hesitate, these two women were the bargaining chips in his hands. Before he could see what the other party was capable of, he couldn't afford to panic. Isn't this all your fault? Hearing that, Yi Zichen smiled relaxedly. I'm just a little commoner in the modern realm, but you guys brought me so much trouble. The more I see, the more I get used to it. Emperor Yi is no commoner, laughed Black Dragon. It doesn't really matter, said Yi Zichen. Judging by the time, Gu Li should have reached Jiangshun and the others by now. As he spoke, Yi Zichen glanced sideways at Gu Li. For some reason, Black Dragon panicked when he heard this. He subconsciously spread out his spiritual energy, enveloping the Su sisters and sealing off the surrounding space. After everything was done, the Black Dragon heaved a long sigh of relief. However, even he did not know why his relief was built on these two women. You're done. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and smiled. Black Dragon, who'd finally managed to calm down, couldn't help but worry again. Suspicion. His heart was now filled with suspicion towards Yi Zichen's words and actions. He knew that he had sealed the space just now, but he was still smiling. Emperor Yi, this sort of psychological warfare is pointless, said Black Dragon with a smile, calming himself. It is indeed boring, but isn't it especially suitable for you? Yi Zichen pursed his lips, his eyes narrowing into slits. He tilted his head and smiled at Black Dragon. Suspicion is your biggest characteristic. I have to use this characteristic to find some opportunities for myself, right? But this time, to be honest, I'm not playing mind games with you. Oh, the Black Dragon raised his eyebrows. He didn't believe that it wasn't a psychological battle. You don't believe me? Look behind you. Is Su Yin and Lu with you? Black Dragon couldn't help but feel a little uncertain at that playful and confident expression. There was no turning back. Now, Black Dragon blamed himself for being too nervous. He'd sealed off the space around Su Yin and Su Lu, preventing his spiritual sense from reaching inside to investigate the situation. He repeatedly warned himself not to look back, but Yi Zichen's calm smile made his heart tremble. It's all right, I'll just take a look. Soon, Black Dragon looked back and saw that Su Yin and Su Lu were still behind him. In an instant, he knew he'd been tricked by Yi Zichen. Furthermore, he sensed a dangerous aura from behind him. Boom! His fist met the attack head-on. Both sides retreated a few steps. Yi Zichen swung his left arm and chuckled. TCH, Your Excellency Black Dragon. Your strength has risen really quickly recently. I wonder what sort of clever move you've used. Care to share it with me? Yi Zichen, even at a time like this, you still like to play these little tricks. Black Dragon snorted. He wanted to distract Yi Zichen, then attack him. The idea wasn't bad, but the results were barely satisfactory. I had no choice. In front of you, Your Excellency, I had no choice but to play these little tricks. Besides, I'm still injured. Don't you think so? Yi Zichen put on an exasperated expression and shrugged. But it wasn't very effective. Your Excellency, who was still suspicious, turned around to look. What's the point of saying all that? So what if I did? You still failed, didn't you? Snorted Black Dragon. What a pity, said Yi Zichen regretfully. Yi Zichen put on a regretful expression. That was truly a good chance. It's truly a pity to miss it. But Your Excellency, I actually wanted to tell you that Su Yin and Big Sister Lu really are gone. If you don't believe me, you can go back and take a look. As he spoke, Yi Zichen winked at Black Dragon, his expression vivid and lifelike. Do you think I believe you? Black Dragon wouldn't fall for the same trick twice. Earlier, Yi Zichen gave him a strange feeling, which made him uncertain. That was why he'd gone back to take a look. Now, he was certain that Yi Zichen was at his wit's end. Did Yi Zichen really think he was a 3-year-old? Besides, no matter what, he was a demon commander. Letting someone lead him around by the nose was too embarrassing. You don't believe me? Yi Zichen arched his brows, then turned to leave. If you don't believe me, then there's nothing I can do. Don't say I didn't tell you. Now that Big Sister Lu, and Su Yin are gone, there's nothing else you can do to distract me. I'm leaving. Take care. I won't be seeing you out. Black Dragon was indescribably confident. It was said that the one who understood you the most was your enemy. Yi Zichen understood that Black Dragon liked to be suspicious, but he also understood Yi Zichen far too well. He also understood how important the two women were to him. He couldn't possibly abandon them. Even if he wanted to leave now, he was just putting on an act. He wanted Black Dragon to make a mistake. In a battle between experts, even the slightest mistake could be fatal. Just now, he'd risked looking back and almost fallen for Yi Zichen's trick. This time, Yi Zichen had definitely come up with an even more elaborate plan to deal him a fatal blow. Black Dragon didn't believe him. Then I'm leaving. Yi Zichen turned around and left like a real hoodlum. Black Dragon merely watched him leave with a faint smile of confidence. He would definitely come back. However, even as Yi Zichen's figure disappeared from his sight, he showed no intention of turning around. Was his acting that realistic? Could he really abandon the two women? Could he abandon the warriors of the 3 realms who were still fighting a bloody battle? He didn't believe it. This kid was definitely playing dirty tricks on him. However, after a brief moment of hesitation, Black Dragon felt somewhat uncertain. Then, he steeled his resolve and looked back. People. Chapter 925. They'd all disappeared. When he saw Su Yin and Su Luer disappear right before his eyes, he didn't panic. Instead, he opened up a crack in the sealed space. After being sacrificed by the demons, Black Dragon's strength had already undergone an earth-shattering increase. He was a half-step Sky Supreme. This was his true strength. Although this level didn't count for much in the higher realms, in the lower 3 realms, he was unreachable. He'd set up a spatial seal. He was absolutely confident that no one could save them. Not even Yi Zichen. If Yi Zichen really had such a trick up his sleeve, he wouldn't have been at a disadvantage against him and Gu Li. Perhaps this was just a smokescreen Yi Zichen had set up for him. Black Dragon spread his spiritual awareness. When the spiritual awareness tentacles reached the inside of the sealed space was empty. They really had disappeared. How is this possible? Black Dragon's heart trembled despite himself. He narrowed his eyes and thought. Whoosh. At that moment, Gu Li returned, his hands covered in blood. Noticing the blood, Black Dragon glanced in the direction of Zhao Zizhao and Jianshan's fight. Zhao Zizhao lay in a pool of his own blood, but his arms were still tightly wrapped around Lin Shihe. As for Zhao Ziming, he watched on coldly, as if his brother's death didn't hurt him at all. It seems you've made your choice between them, said Black Dragon. I didn't want to attack him at first, but a dog has no self-awareness and even wants to bite its master. Naturally, I had to teach him a lesson, snorted Gu Li sinisterly. Gu Li snorted sinisterly. At the same time, he took out a white handkerchief from his pocket and wiped the blood off his hands. Then, he tossed the handkerchief over Zhao Zizhao's face. That's a profound lesson, laughed Black Dragon. Your Excellency, let's not talk about this. Where are they? Gu Li didn't respond. Instead, he tilted his head and gestured at Yi Zichen. How long have I been gone? They're already gone? If you do this, it'll be easy for me to mistake you for some sort of agreement. So you let them go? And you let those 2 women go as well? That was indeed my oversight, said Black Dragon. Black Dragon didn't quibble. He nodded. I set up a spatial seal around the 2 women, but for some reason, they disappeared. I'm too lazy to go into the details. As for what you think, what does that have to do with me? His expression was filled with disdain. No matter what, Black Dragon was still the commander of the demon race, equivalent to an emperor. He wasn't Gu Li's subordinate, so there was no need for him to explain too much. Besides, he didn't like Gu Li to begin with. If Gu Li wanted to attack him, he wouldn't mind at all. Sensing Black Dragon's mood, Gu Li narrowed his eyes and hurriedly smiled warmly. Lord Black Dragon, how could I dare to doubt you? I was just joking with you. Yi Zichen is full of tricks, so it's normal for you to fall for his tricks. Oomph. The Black Dragon snorted. Off to the side, Gu Li's gaze shifted. He smiled obsequiously, nodded, and bowed. His heart was filled with an indescribable gloom. Little did he know, Black Dragon also knew that Gu Li was a smiling tiger. In his heart, Black Dragon wanted nothing more than to kill him. Right now, they were working together purely out of mutual benefit. That was all. All right, Yi Zichen ran. Even if he ran, he can't run away. Let's not talk about this anymore. He smiled and waved his hand, then turned his gaze to the blood-soaked soldiers of the three realms. Wiping out this group of people is quite beneficial for both of us. Oomph. I'm naturally ready at any time. My demons are extremely united. We don't have as many problems as you do. If you take care of everything, of course there won't be any problems, snorted Black Dragon. I almost forgot. You've already been killed. I wasn't strict with my subordinates. I've embarrassed myself in front of your excellency, said Gu Li with an apologetic smile. Then let's do it, said Black Dragon coolly. Just as Black Dragon was about to transmit the message, both Gu Li and Black Dragon stopped in their tracks. Their eyes were filled with indescribable shock. Following their gazes, whoosh, 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 the soldiers of the three realms, surrounded by blood zombies and demons, seemed as if they'd been forcibly teleported away. Their bodies twisted and vanished. Countless blood zombies and demons were just about to kill the soldiers of the three realms. However, when they attacked, all they managed to do was chop down a sea of twisted shadows. Vanished. All of them vanished. It was as if the soldiers of the three realms had evaporated. In the space of a single breath, they'd all disappeared. Even their corpses, they'd all disappeared. The demons and blood zombies stopped and looked around in bewilderment. They didn't understand how they'd all disappeared just like that. Gu Li and Black Dragon were the same. After a long silence, Black Dragon thought back to Su Yin and Su Luer, who'd vanished under his spatial seal. He didn't believe it at first, but now. It seems an expert helped them. That's right. Gu Li's expression was grim. He narrowed his eyes at the disappearing soldiers and snorted inwardly. Gu Zichen, you've broken the balance. Gu Li thought to himself. Only Gu Zichen could do something like this. But Gu Zichen didn't want to take the blame. Hidden in the clouds, Gu Zichen looked on in bewilderment. Even he had no idea how the soldiers of the three realms had vanished. However, he knew full well that someone capable of abducting nearly 100,000 people. That was power above that of a ruler. Transcendence? Gu Zichen's voice trembled as he muttered the word. Above rulers was transcendence. They transcended beyond the six realms, and not even the laws could bind them. He'd spent his entire life trying, but he'd never even seen the slightest trace of this level. Transcendence. It was actually transcendence. But why would an expert of that level intervene in such a trivial matter? Was it because of Yi Zichen? But how could? Dragon God Ring. Those three words inexplicably popped into Gu Zichen's mind. The only person capable of such power was the old dragon god during the Great War of Demons and Gods. Back then, the old dragon god hadn't intervened. It seemed, this butterfly effect had truly changed the course of history. Who knew if everything would truly end here? As Gu Zichen pondered this, Yi Zichen's words suddenly surfaced in his mind. The path you're walking on is a path of failure, and you're forcing your path of failure onto me. There's only one possibility, and that's failure. If you want to change your future, then please shut up and do as I say. Do you understand? Chapter 9:26. Sowing discord, the sudden disappearance of the three realms' forces caught both Gu Li and the demons by surprise. Now that their targets had disappeared, the blood zombies' mouths gaped open, sticky saliva dripping from them. They stared blankly at their surroundings. The bare-chested warriors of the devil race also looked around in puzzlement. It seems these people aren't fated to die yet. Ghoulie snorted sinisterly to himself, then smirked and snorted as he watched the three realms' forces vanish. Black Dragon instinctively nodded, but before long, his nerves tensed, and he took a few steps back. Their previous alliance was built on the basis of their common enemy, the three realms. Now that their enemy was gone, they were facing a direct conflict of interest over who should claim the land outside the immortal region. Your Excellency Black Dragon, what are you doing? Sensing Black Dragon's change in aura, Ghoulie shrugged. We're allies, after all. Why are you so guarded against me? Huh. Black Dragon laughed coldly. Fine, I know what you're worried about, said Ghoulie with a smile and a shrug. Your Excellency Black Dragon, you've led your entire race to invade the three realms, so I'm sure you need this land even more than I do. I don't want the immortal region, so I'll take my troops with me and leave this place to you. Despite Ghoulie's words, Black Dragon didn't relax his guard in the slightest. Fine, I'll leave now, said Ghoulie. Sensing Black Dragon's tension, he glanced at Jiangchun without hesitation. The blood zombies gradually retreated from the battlefield. Before long, only a few blood zombies could be seen outside the immortal region. The rest were demons. See, Your Excellency Black Dragon, this is my sincerity in cooperating with you. Ghoulie pursed his lips and chuckled, then glanced at Black Dragon's solemn expression. It seems shaking hands won't be possible, so I'll take my leave. However, it's best if we maintain our alliance. No matter what, as long as Yizichin isn't dead, our war with them won't be over. I doubt you'll be satisfied with just a small piece of land. Although the immortal region is vast and fertile, it'll be hard enough to feed your entire demon race. You don't need to worry about that, snorted Black Dragon. I'm definitely not worrying. I'm just reminding you out of goodwill. Ghoulie narrowed his eyes and smiled. I won't disturb your rest any longer. In a few days, I'll come to Maple City to find you. When that time comes, we can discuss the details of our attack. What do you say? At this moment, Black Dragon deliberately spread out his spiritual sense, enveloping the entire celestial realm within it. She actually didn't play any tricks with him. You really made your people retreat? You're the only one here now, and the entire immortal domain is filled with my devil race's people. Aren't you worried that I'll make you stay here forever? Afraid? How can I not be afraid? Ghoulie put on a timid expression. Black Dragon, there's no way you don't know how afraid I am of death. But since it was a collaboration, they naturally had to show their sincerity. I've already said it before. This is my sincerity for cooperation. What's more, Lord Black Dragon is an ambitious and ruthless character of his generation. It's impossible for him to get rid of me now, right? Humph, the Black Dragon snorted. You can leave. Your Excellency, you still haven't given me an answer, said Ghoulie. Black Dragon naturally understood that he was referring to Ghoulie's earlier discussion about the details of their attack. Just now, Ghoulie had rescued everyone from the three realms. Black Dragon had no choice but to reevaluate the three realms' power. With an expert like that overseeing the three realms, he couldn't afford to not cooperate with Ghoulie. All right, when the time comes, you can come see me. Then let's have a happy collaboration. Ghoulie pursed his lips, then laughed softly. But before I leave, there's something I'd like to remind you of. What is it? Sui Yun is the literati star, while Yi Zichin is the emperor's star. Heilong's body involuntarily stiffened. Soon after, he snorted. Didn't you say you were the emperor's star and that you wanted to extend Brother Su's life? You try to recruit my people right in front of my face. I haven't even settled that debt with you. And now you dare sow discord? I'm not trying to sow discord. Ghoulie narrowed his eyes and laughed. I am indeed the one who illuminated the Emperor's star, the future Lord of heaven and earth. However, haven't you heard that the heavens chose two emperors? If you haven't, you can go back and read your demon race's records. Perhaps you'll discover something. That's enough. Hurry up and get out of my sight. If you don't want to stay here forever. Fine, I'll go. Sensing Black Dragon's fury, Ghoulie said no more. But you should still take my words seriously. The Literati star is one of the Emperor's star's 4 auxiliary stars. His mission is to assist the Emperor's star in ascending to the throne. This cannot be disobeyed. Besides, Su Iyun and Yi Zichen were sworn friends back in the modern realm. If you don't believe me, you can ask Li Min. Previously, he rejected my invitation. Then, I'll let Lord Black Dragon ponder over the problem himself. Scram. Fine, I'll scram. But, Black Dragon. Scram. Boom. In the blink of an eye, the Black Dragon released all of its pressure. Sensing the pressure, Guli pursed his lips, nodded, and disappeared. After a while, Black Dragon's chest heaved violently. At that moment, Li Min pushed Su Iyun over. What's wrong? Su Iyun seemed to have returned to normal. He was no longer sweating. However, everyone knew that this was merely a sign that his time was up. As he looked at Su Iyun, Guli's words echoed through Black Dragon's mind. He was naturally paranoid, but he really didn't want to suspect Su Iyun. It was Su Iyun who'd restored Black Dragon's ambitions. It was Su Iyun who'd found a new home for the demons. It was also Su Iyun who'd given them the strength to fight the immortal region. It could be said that in the past year, the demons had. Su Iyun had given it to them. But Guli had just said that Su Iyun might be one of Yi Zichen's men. He didn't understand. If it really was as Guli said, why did Su Iyun keep pretending? Given Su Iyun's abilities and Yi Zichen's resources, wouldn't dealing with the demons be a piece of cake? Black Dragon was confused. He didn't want to believe it. It's nothing. Whenever I see that bastard, I can't help but get angry. Once we take the 3 realms, I'll definitely teach him a lesson. He wasn't telling the truth. His paranoia made it impossible for him to tell the truth. You mustn't get too close to Guli. Don't forget how he treated you and the demons back then. With that, Su Iyun had Li Min push him away. However, the instant he turned around, he sighed inexplicably. Chapter 9:27. To sound out entering Maple City for the second time, Black Dragon arrived at the Castellan's mansion with ease. In the study that Luo Wei had once studied at night for the good of the people of the city, Black Dragon sat on a chair in the study, holding a jade slip in his hand. The desk in front of him and the floor were filled with countless jade slips. Creak! The door to the study was pushed open, and Li Min walked in with a bitter expression. Sir, you were looking for me? He's here. Black Dragon replied without even lifting his head. His spiritual sense was still looking through the contents of the jade slip. Li Min didn't say anything to disturb him and just stood at the door, waiting. After a long while, Black Dragon placed the jade slip on the table. Only then did he raise his head. Is Brother Su asleep? At the mention of Su Iyun, Li Min's expression was filled with indescribable sadness. When she was in the modern realm, she had already set her sights on this person. Since then, she had always loved him. She had thought that she would be able to spend the rest of her life with him if she passed on the legacy of the spirit formation to him. But who would have thought that this inheritance would be the one that would take his life? For the past few days, Li Min had been sobbing every night. She kept asking herself if she was the culprit behind Su Iyun's death. He didn't sleep. He said that he doesn't have much time left. He has to make the best use of his time to perfect the spirit array that he's been studying recently. Maybe he'll be able to help you then. Sitting at the desk by the window, Black Dragon's expression changed. Then he calmly nodded. Brother Su has truly sacrificed too much for our demon race. It's all my fault for being too weak and not being able to lend my life to Brother Su and the Heavenly Tao. It's a pity that Brother Su's attainments in the field of spiritual arrays really make the heavens jealous. Li Min remained silent. She still couldn't accept the fact that Su Iyun didn't have much time left. The Black Dragon let out a light sigh and asked in a casual tone, noticing Li Min's expression. Min, you met Brother Su when I sent you to the modern world to find the reincarnation of a Yellow Emperor, right? Li Min's pupils trembled as she spoke. Yes. Then you and Brother Su are quite fated. Black Dragon smiled calmly. Black Dragon smiled calmly. Getting to know Brother Su in the modern realm, with such a high level of attainment and formations, and being able to be used by us demons, is truly a blessing for us demons. Then at that time, Brother Su was with the Yellow Emperor. Your Excellency Black Dragon, what do you mean? Li Min's expression instantly darkened. Are you suspecting Iyun? You, Li Spirit Li Min's face. Black Dragon, Black, Li Li Su's emperor was the Li Emperor out. Emperor Dragon, Li said in. Li Emperor, Li said. I've seen everything Brother Su has done for the fiend race. Emperor, Su, and Emperor. Then why did they suddenly turn against each other? Black Dragon asked in confusion. Emperor Dragon, Yi said. And he Li, Emperor. Dragon sense. Li, Brother Su actually had such a situation. It seems that Brother Su is not an ordinary person. The Black Dragon nodded in understanding. Soon after, he laughed softly. All right, then there's nothing else. You should hurry back and take care of Brother Su. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to tell me. As long as I can do it, I will do my best to help. Lord Black Dragon, thank you for the trouble. Bowing slightly, Li Min left the study. Black Dragon, who remained at the desk, turned to look out the window. His gaze was fixed on the Polaris Emperor Star and its auxiliary stars. Emperor Star, auxiliary star. Brother Su, don't disappoint me. After leaving Black Dragon's place, Li Min returned to Su Yun's room. As soon as she entered, she heard Su Yun's voice. You're back. What did the Black Dragon ask you? Just as you expected. Li Min explained everything she told Black Dragon, then said, Black Dragon is just too paranoid. Gu Li's enmity with the demons hasn't been resolved yet he actually believed that bastard's slanderous words and suspected you. I'm used to it. Su Yun smiled calmly. In front of him was a pile of diagrams he'd used to derive spiritual formations. He's used to it. If he's like this, who knows when he'll suspect us demon sovereigns? Li Min, he snorted angrily. Su Yun merely laughed, picked up a brush, and began drawing on the diagrams. However, his hands trembled uncontrollably. Remember, no matter what, he was a cultivator. For his hands to tremble. Forget it. Let him think whatever he wants. Once everything's over, everything will be fine. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sound of rushing wind filled the air. After leaving Maple City's vicinity, Yi Zichen flew straight for the Beast region. He spread out his spiritual awareness to monitor Black Dragon, Gu Li, and the others' movements. Come to the Dragon Race. A transmission suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness. Yi Zichen instantly turned around and flew in the direction of the Beast region's Dragon Race. An hour later, Yi Zichen walked into the Dragon Race's Great Hall, his arms hanging limply by his side. The Dragon Race's elder sat on the seat of honor to his left, while a white-haired, ruddy old man sat in the center. Bang! Yi Zichen walked in without a single word. When he reached the center of the hall, he knelt to the ground with a bang. When he knelt, everyone in the hall was stunned. Emperor Yi, what are you doing? The Dragon Race's elder rose to his feet. The other elders and immediate family members of the Dragon Race didn't dare remain seated. Their arms hung limply by their sides. Only the elder didn't move. He even smiled at Yi Zichen. All right, get up. Thank you, Dragon God, for your help. If you hadn't intervened, I really wouldn't know what to do. In truth, the Dragon Race is at fault too. If we'd sent reinforcements earlier, things might not have turned out this way. If you have anything to say, get up and say it. You're no longer the Yi Zichen of the past. You're Emperor Yi of the Immortal Region. Look at them. You're kneeling, but they don't even dare sit. The Dragon God chuckled. Right, I've already sent those 2 girls for treatment. Kiki is with them. Thank you, Dragon God. Yi Zichen cupped his hands at the Dragon God, then rose to his feet with the Dragon Race's elder's help. Emperor Yi, your seat is over there. The Dragon God pointed to the seat of honor to his right. Yi Zichen nodded, walked over, and sat down. Only then did the others take their seats. However, as soon as Yi Zichen sat down, he spoke again. Just now, the Dragon God mentioned it, so I'd like to take this opportunity to ask, why haven't the Dragon Race sent reinforcements yet? The signal should have been sent a long time ago, but in the end, we still haven't seen any reinforcements. This, can someone explain? Chapter 928. Chapter 928. Rage, you didn't get it? Yi Zichen couldn't help but grin. He looked up at the Dragon God, almost as if he were sneering. It was true that the people of the 3 realms had only been able to leave Maple City safely thanks to the Dragon God. There was no doubt about that, and Yi Zichen was extremely grateful for it. But what about before he arrived? Casualties were unavoidable. Yi Zichen could understand that. However, the casualties could have been avoided or reduced, and yet the dragon god's response was so irresponsible. He didn't get it. Yi Zichen didn't know if Luo Wei and the others had sent a distress signal before he arrived. But he had. As soon as he arrived, he'd sent a distress signal. Nearly 20 hours had passed, but there was still no sign of any reinforcements. Old Dragon God, do you think that's a reasonable explanation? Before the demons attacked, I discussed the details with the various clans of the Beast region about reinforcements and the details of the battle. Now you're telling me you didn't get it? Does that mean we never sent a distress signal? Whenever he recalled the scene, Yi Zichen's heart ached, as if it were being cut by a knife. He was bathed in blood, his limbs twisted as he leaned against the Rui Jingu Bang. Su Lu'er, who held Yuan Hong in her arms, her eyes lifeless and lifeless. She'd sacrificed her life to bloom a final, dazzling sea of flowers. There was also Lin Shiha, the Yao experts of the Beast region, and all the warriors who'd shed their blood for the sake of this battle. The sky outside Maple City was red, and so was the ground. They'd been dyed red with blood. Scene after scene flashed through Yi Zichen's sea of consciousness. When they'd been surrounded by demons and blood zombies, they'd fallen into despair. Could he just let them go? Yi Zichen inexplicably clenched his fists. He gnashed his teeth, replaying the scene in his sea of consciousness. This was a lesson he'd learned in blood. He had to remember it for the rest of his life. You really didn't get it, said the Dragon Clan head despite himself. You didn't get it? You just said you didn't get it, and you sent hundreds of thousands of people to their deaths, right? Boom! Yi Zichen, who was sitting in his chair, could no longer suppress his emotions. Spiritual energy surged out of his body. A faint golden aura revolved around his body. He stood up and looked at everyone in the hall. Do you know what it was like back then? I suggest that you go to Maple City, which is currently occupied by the demon race's blood zombies. Go there and see for yourself what it means to have a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. The Dragon Clan. When I came to the Dragon Clan, you told me that the Dragon Clan didn't have enough people and couldn't be the first echelon. I know the situation of your Dragon Clan, and I respect your thoughts, but where are your reinforcements? So many of the Beast region's clansmen died. What do the dragons do? All right, I almost forgot. Your Dragon Clan did not receive the reinforcement signal. Yi Zichen snorted disdainfully, then arched his eyebrows. That's right. I don't know if you didn't receive it, or if you don't dare to go. Are you afraid that the death of your clansmen will weaken the strength of your Dragon Clan? Am I right? Bang! Insolence. You think you can speak so carelessly about our Dragon Clan? One of the Dragon Clan's retainers slammed the table and rose to his feet. He wasn't originally a member of the Dragon Clan. Rather, he was a subordinate of the Black Bear clan. Who exactly is the insolent one? In response, Yi Zichen merely glanced back at him coolly. The retainer felt as if he'd fallen into an icy cavern. His entire body trembled involuntarily. I am Emperor Yi of the Immortal Region. In terms of status, even the head of the Dragon Clan has to show me some respect. You little retainer, yet you abandoned your clan to serve the Dragon Clan. Why do you have to criticize me? Buzz. Yi Zichen's body radiated a deep, oppressive aura, infused with the will of the North Pole's emperor. Everyone's hearts trembled. The Black Bear retainer from before couldn't bear the pressure. He prostrated himself on the ground, trembling. Emperor Yi, please calm your anger. One of the few people present who could withstand the pressure, the Dragon Clan's elder, couldn't help but rise to his feet. Our Dragon Clan has absolutely no such intentions. Please calm your anger, Emperor Yi. Tsh, all you know is how to be tyrannical. A whisper suddenly rang out in the main hall. When everyone else heard this whisper, they all revealed expressions of shock. The Dragon Clan's patriarch, in particular, looked at the elders in the hall and kept signaling him with his eyes. The elder had been muttering to himself, but he hadn't expected to say it aloud. As soon as he did, he regretted it. Given Yi Zichen's strength, how could he not hear this? Tyrannical? Are you talking about me? Laughed Yi Zichen. The elder didn't dare reply. He simply lowered his head. The Dragon Clan's elder hurriedly tried to smooth things over. Emperor Yi, he wasn't talking about you. It doesn't matter. Rip. As he spoke, Yi Zichen's robes tore to shreds. His bare chest was covered with ghastly scars, some of which were still dripping with golden blood. Do you see that? These are the scars I left behind in Maple City. Tyrannical? While I was out fighting bloody battles, your Dragon Clan's elders and retainers might still be enjoying the flowers and grass, right? Do you think you're worthy of talking about me? The atmosphere suddenly turned strange. When Yi Zichen revealed his wounds, everyone in the hall fell silent. What came into view were all serious injuries that could kill a person. In particular, Yi Zichen had a defensive divine artifact on him. Even so, he'd still ended up like this. Just how dangerous had the situation been? The elder who'd just called Yi Zichen tyrannical felt his face heat up. He just couldn't stand Yi Zichen using his power to bully others. But when he saw Yi Zichen's wounds, he felt ashamed of his irresponsible words. After a long time, the old dragon god, who was sitting at the head of the table, broke the heavy atmosphere. Emperor Yi, the Dragon Clan's failure to rush to the rescue is our fault. We admit that. The dragon god waved his right hand, and a layer of clothing appeared over Yi Zichen's body. At the same time, he spoke. At the same time, the dragon god said, I can't understand Emperor Ye's fury, but Emperor Yi, think about it. It wasn't just the Dragon Clan. Didn't the others rush to the rescue too? Yi Zichen suddenly froze in his fury. His eyes widened, and he glanced at the dragon god. The dragon god looked back at him and chuckled. I don't think so. Indeed, they hadn't. Yi Zichen couldn't help but think back to the situation. No one had rushed to the rescue. Chapter 9:29. A blow in one of the guest rooms of the Dragon Clan. Several elders stood in the corner of the room, each carrying a medicinal fragrance on their backs. Su Lu sat on the bed, her eyes devoid of any desire to live. At the moment, she was still in her nine-tailed fox form. Her 9 tails lay scattered on the ground, dripping with blood. The floor of the room was dyed a dark red. Her aura was weak and her face pale. Even so, she ignored the people in the room and refused to be treated. The middle-aged man in front of her looked utterly embarrassed. His expression was somewhat anxious as he repeatedly tried to comfort her. Fox Emperor, please cooperate with our treatment. Your injuries can't be delayed. To save Yuan Hong, replied Su Lu, coolly, her head lowered. General Yuan, the middle-aged man hesitated. At that moment, Su Lu raised her head. Her pale, bloodless face was especially frightening, especially her eyes, which flashed with a bewitching blood-red color. What happened to Yuan Hong? Tell me, what happened to Yuan Hong? Everyone in the room fell silent. Are you trying to tell me that Yuan Hong is dead? Impossible. Su Lu raised her voice. It's just a hole in the chest. A Sky Immortal's regenerative abilities aren't like a mortal's. He's just suffered a relatively serious injury. Your Dragon Clan boasts of being the strongest of the Beast Region's clans. Can't you heal him? In the face of Su Lu's barrage of rebuttals and questions, Rin Jia remained silent. Fine, since you can't save him, I'll take him back to the 9-tailed fox clan for treatment. With that, Su Lu climbed off the bed. However, due to her injuries, her steps were unsteady. As she walked, her blood flowed even faster. Fox Emperor, you can't leave. The middle-aged man, who'd remained silent until now, frowned and blocked Su Lu's path. The clan head handed you over to us to treat your injuries, he said in an unquestionable tone. Besides, you can't move around in your current condition. Please cooperate with our treatment and don't make things difficult for us. Get out of my way. You think you can stop me? Hurry up and get out of the way. Otherwise, don't blame me for attacking you in the dragon race. Vaguely, Su Lu had already begun to build up her power. The cyclone swirled around her, blowing her hair. She glared coldly at the middle-aged man in front of her, as if she would kill him if he dared to block her way. However, the middle-aged man showed no signs of fear. He stood unwaveringly in front of Su Lu and stared into her eyes. Fox Emperor, you can't leave. All right, then don't blame this emperor for being impolite. As she spoke, she prepared to attack. At that moment, the door to the room was pushed open from the outside, and Xia Kiki and Yi Zichen walked in. Mississippi, the middle-aged man bowed when he saw Xia Kiki, then cupped his hands towards Yi Zichen. Emperor Yi. Yi Zichen nodded calmly. The instant he entered the room, he'd already guessed most of it. He glanced at the middle-aged man, signaling him to step back, then walked over to Su Lu'er. Big Sister Lu'er. When the domineering Su Lu'er saw Yi Zichen, her frosty face was suddenly suffused with a fragile, pitiable expression. A stream of tears flowed down her cheeks, and she knelt to the ground. Big Sister Lu'er. Yi Zichen hurried up to her. Su Lu'er looked up, tears streaming down her cheeks incessantly. Yuan Hong is dead. No one would have the heart to feel pity for that fragile face. When Yi Zichen heard this, his heart trembled. Yuan Hong was dead. He couldn't help but recall the moment they'd first met. That carefree smile seemed just like yesterday. Yuan Hong's death only served to highlight the tragedy of this war. Yi Zichen clenched his fists, bit his lip, and reached out to wipe away Su Lu'er's tears. Big Sister Lu'er, don't overthink it. You still have Su Yin and Su Zhu and us. That's right, Big Sister Lu'er, you still have us, said Xia Kiki. It's not the same. Su Lu'er knelt on the ground and shook her head repeatedly. You're not the same as Yuan Hong. He's dead, and I don't want to live anymore. Big Sister Lu'er, did you know? He's been chasing me since we were kids. Su Lu'er smiled wryly. She couldn't help but smile. Back then, I was already the empress of the Fox clan, and he was just a little monkey. That year, he followed the great sage to the Fox clan. From then on, he visited us every day. He's been that shameless ever since he was little. Su Lu'er smiled as she recounted their past. Yi Zichen and everyone else in the room listened in silence. Eventually, Su Lu'er let down her guard. Yi Zichen stood in front of her and smacked her on the neck, then sealed several of her acupoints. Big Sister Lu'er, I'm sorry. Su Lu'er's eyes glazed over. Then she closed her eyes and collapsed to the ground. Yi Zichen reached out and placed her on the bed, then turned to the dragons and said, You must cure the Fox Emperor. I must cure the Fox Emperor. If I can't cure him, I will hold your dragon race responsible. Yi Zichen left the room, stood in front of the door, and looked up at the vast Milky Way. Before long, Xia Kiki walked out of her room and heard Yi Zichen sigh. Yuan Hong's death was a huge blow to Big Sister Lu'er. That's right. I've never seen her like this before, said Xia Kiki with a frown. Is Yuan Hong really dead? Yi Zichen nodded wordlessly. Before coming to Su Lu'er's room, he'd gone to Yuan Hong's. There was no chance of him surviving. Then Big Sister Lu'er, I believe she'll be able to walk out of this trauma, laughed Yi Zichen. Don't forget, she still has Su Yin and the others by her side, as well as you and me. I believe that too. Xia Kiki nodded affirmatively. Hurry up and get some rest. You've been taking care of so many people. In truth, your injuries aren't much worse than theirs. I really should get some rest. I'll have to trouble you with Su Yin. All right. They parted ways, and Yi Zichen returned to the residence the dragons had arranged for him. However, as soon as he pushed open the door, he sent someone else inside. Who is it? Yi Zichen stood in the doorway and shouted. Before long, he saw Lil Tian walk out of the room. When he saw it was her, Yi Zichen smiled. He walked towards Tian with a smile, only to see Tian's cute little face suddenly covered with frost. Chapter 9:30. Clues. A dagger appeared in Lil Tian's hands, glinting with cold light. Her expression was icy as she stabbed at him. This sudden turn of events stunned Yi Zichen. He reached out and snatched the dagger from Tian's hands. Tian. Yi Zichen snatched the dagger and frowned. He didn't understand. Why would Tian want to kill him? Die. Even though she'd lost her dagger, Tian's fists rained down on Yi Zichen's body. However, since she had no spiritual energy at all, her attacks were like a drizzle to Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen reached out and hugged her, then knit his brows. Tian, stop messing around. Before he'd even finished speaking, he noticed that Tian's face was covered in grievance. Before long, she buried her face in Yi Zichen's arms and burst into tears. What's wrong? As soon as the words left his mouth, Yi Zichen's heart inexplicably clenched. An ominous premonition welled up in his heart. He hurriedly put Tian Tian on the ground, knelt down, and grabbed her hand. Did something happen to Yume? Die. Hearing the two words, Yume, Tian Tian sobbed, feeling wronged. She raised her fist and punched again. Tian Tian. Yi Zichen caught her hand and couldn't help but raise his voice. Shout Tian Tian, who had been waving her fists around, stopped. She couldn't stop sobbing, and her body trembled. What happened to Yume? Mommy was taken away by bad people. Tian Tian's face was filled with grievance, and her voice was choked with sobs. Give me back my mommy, give me back my mommy. As she spoke, Tian Tian couldn't restrain her emotions. She knelt on the ground and cried. Taken away by bad people? Yi Zichen's heart trembled. Instantly, countless possibilities flashed through his mind. However, these were all just conjectures. He couldn't say for sure. Tian Tian clearly knew what had happened. Only from her could. No, Chang'e could do it too. Lori had said that they'd gone to Chang'e's place. Perhaps she knew something. He reached out and patted Tian Tian on the head, then comforted her with a few words, then took out his phone. Not only did he have to ask Chang'e about Yume's situation, he also had a belly full of anger to vent on the heavenly court. However, the most important thing right now was to find out about Yume. Chang'e, he murmured in his heart. He and Chang'e had the ability to transmit their voices over 1,000 miles, so there was no need for them to use cell phones to communicate. No response. If Yi Zichen had sought her out in the past, she would have replied instantly. What was going on? He couldn't help but shout in his heart, but the other party still didn't respond. Could it be that the 1,000-mile voice transmission is ineffective? Yi Zichen muttered to himself. Then, he helplessly found Chang'e from his contact list, clicked open their chat, and sent a message. Fairy Chang'e. The message was indeed sent out, but there was still no reply. No way. Yi Zichen's heart trembled at the lack of response. Of course, he didn't believe that Chang'e went to rest, so she didn't reply to him. She was someone who lived in the Moon Palace, so the night was her home turf. What's more, even if she was resting, she could still feel his inner voice calling out to her. Since she didn't reply, there could only be one possibility. Yi Zichen looked towards Lil Tian Tian, who was still hugging her legs and sobbing. There was no sign of her getting better. Yi Zichen prayed in his heart that it wasn't as he thought, then left Chang'e a message. Fairy Chang'e, if you see my message, please reply as soon as possible. Then, he exited the chat and clicked on the red packet server, only to find that Immortality Peach Fairy, admin Chang'e, disappeared. How is that possible? The most recent message was sent by Immortality Peach Fairy, and it just so happened to be related to Chang'e. Yi Zichen's heart sank. He scrolled up the message and saw that the first person to mention that Chang'e had disappeared was Wu Gang, who had been chopping trees outside the Moon Palace. Wu Gang. Chang'e. He has already not been in the Moon Palace for 3 days. 3 days. Isn't that the day that Lil, Tian Tian, and Yume went to the Moon Palace? Old Lord Taishang. I did see the Moon Palace shine brightly that day. I thought that fairy had some sort of miraculous encounter. I wonder if that has anything to do with fairy's disappearance? Yu Lao. I saw the light too. It was very blinding. God of Fortune. I saw it too. People continuously spoke up in the group, and all of them mentioned how the Moon Palace shone brightly that day. Yi Zichen's frown deepened. After a moment of hesitation, he exited the group and put his phone to the side. Tian Tian. Yi Zichen thought for a bit, then put his hand on Tian Tian's shoulder. Let go of me, you bad person. Tian Tian struggled and tried to hit him with her little fists. Yi Zichen reached out and restrained her, then looked into her eyes. Tian Tian, stop messing around. I know Yume's departure made you very sad. I feel the same way, but throwing a tantrum won't solve the problem. But you can't solve the problem by throwing a tantrum here. Calm down and tell Daddy what happened to Yume and Chang'e. It's all your fault. All your fault. Tian Tian. Yi Zichen grabbed her by the shoulders and roared. When he saw Tian Tian's stunned expression, he realized he'd gone overboard with his words just now. He quickly composed himself, then said gently, Tian Tian, tell Daddy exactly what happened back then. She didn't know if Yi Zichen's roar had frightened her or if Tian Tian had really calmed down. Not long after, he stopped crying. His shoulders trembled as he spoke in a halting manner. That day, I felt really bored at home, so I asked Mom to come with me to play with Annie Chong. At first, it was nothing, but that night, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared at Annie Chong Yi's house. After that, the man asked if he knew Yi Zichen. Mom thought he was trying to make trouble for Dad, so she and Annie Chong, he looked at him without saying a word. Before long, the man laughed and said, What did he say? He said it. It's fine if you don't say it. I did a thorough investigation on the way here. You're both Yi Zichen's women, right? Come with us. Mom and Annie Chong Yi refused, but that middle-aged man was really strong. He took Mom away in just a few moments. I was scared out of my wits. I wanted to save Mom, but I didn't dare. All I could do was hide in the Moon Palace and watch. However, before he left behind a message. What did he say? Yi Zichen also started to feel nervous. This sentence should be the most important clue to the problem. Chapter 9:31. A night Yi Zichen used a concentration incantation on Tian Tian, then took her to bed to rest. Perhaps she really was tired. Not long after getting into bed, she fell into a deep sleep. However, as she lay on the bed, she muttered incessantly. From the shape of her lips, she seemed to be saying, Mom. Yi Zichen's heart ached. Tian Tian was still a child. She'd only just reunited with her mother, but now they were separated again. This sort of pain was naturally unbearable. Yi Zichen sighed softly, touched her cheek, covered her with a blanket, then left the room. Phew! Yi Zichen exhaled a puff of smoke. He was currently holding an orange-red cigarette between his fingers. Cigarette butts littered the ground around his feet. It had been a long time since he'd smoked so fiercely. He'd only crouched in a corner and puffed on something he couldn't resolve. The Shao family. Although there were a few Shao family members in the Immortal region, they were just minor clans. They didn't have the ability to come and go as they pleased in the heavenly court. Obviously, the Shao family Tian Tian mentioned was from the God Realm. It seemed the only ones Yi Zichen knew about were the imperial clans in charge of Tribulation Lightning, the Shao family. Yi Zichen didn't understand. Why were these heaven masters constantly opposing him? When he ascended to divinity, the Shao family sent down Tribulation Lightning, shattered his godhead, and almost killed him. Now they descended to the lower realms to capture Shao Yumei and Chong. What on earth were they planning? Yi Zichen unwittingly crushed the cigarette in his hand into two. His surroundings were suffused with a chilling, somber aura. It's so late. Why aren't you resting? Why are you smoking? At that moment, Zhou Emo walked into the courtyard. She frowned at the cigarette butts on the ground, then frowned. Are you worried about the demon's attack? Yi Zichen glanced at her coolly, then pulled out his pack of cigarettes and lit another. Zhou Emo snatched it away and frowned. It's bad for your health. As she spoke, she reached out her hand. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile wryly. He shrugged, indicating that he'd put all his cigarettes into her hands. He stretched lazily, blew the smoke away, and said, It's so late. Why aren't you resting? Why did you come all the way here? Do you think I'm that free? Zuokamo put the cigarette in her hand back into the box, then placed her hands behind her back. Our treasure tower has always been sending resources to you when you were fighting against the demons. I've just sent the last batch of resources over. I wanted to rest, but I couldn't sleep, so I just wandered around. This is my first time coming to the Dragon Clan. That's what Zuo said, but whether or not Yi Zichen believed her was another matter entirely, especially when she said that she casually strolled around. Yi Zichen's residence was quite a distance away from the dragon race's storage area. It made no sense that Zuomo's casual stroll had led her here. However, Yi Zichen wouldn't point it out. He simply smiled. Thank you for your hard work. It's nothing. Zuo waved her hand. The war resources that the treasure tower sent must be worth a lot, right? You made a loss this time. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile. I understand the principle of interdependence. If you lose, then even if the treasure tower has millions of dollars, it'll be useless. I'm only doing this to benefit myself. It would be great if those little merchants understood as well as you did. Back at Lin Shiha's wedding. Halfway through his sentence, Yi Zichen stopped. Lin Shiha. She was dead. Yi Zichen's mood inexplicably darkened. So Mo, who didn't know what was going on, thought he was feeling sorry for Zhao Zijiao's betrayal. Big sister Shiha isn't weak. That's right. She's absolutely not weak. Yi Zichen forced a smile. So Mo easily understood the deeper meaning behind his words. What are you trying to say? Nothing. Yi Zichen smiled and waved his hand. I'm just agreeing with what you said. If she really was weak, she couldn't have become the lord of the city, could she? She's the only female city lord in the outer regions of the immortal region. Big sister Shiha is no less a woman than a man. She's always been my role model, said Zhuo Mo with a smile. Then she arched her brows. Right, since you've all come to the demons, you should know where Big Sister Shiha lives, right? Can you take me there? I'm starting to miss her. Yi Zichen hesitated. She was injured while fighting the demons. It's best if you don't disturb her. Let her rest for a while. Injured? How is it? Is it serious? Asked Mo anxiously. It's not particularly serious, but she'll need some time to recover, replied Yi Zichen. All right, it just so happens that I brought quite a few natural treasures and healing medicines. I'll have the dragon race deliver some to Big Sister Shiha. So Mo nodded and muttered to herself. Yi Zichen didn't want to dwell on this topic, so he changed the subject. Your resources this time. I was just about to tell you, said Mo. Just now, I moved all of the bombs of the treasure tower refined over. According to the test results, ordinary human immortals shouldn't be able to withstand the blast. That's great. Yi Zichen clenched his fists. The demons are currently working with Gu Li's blood zombies. They have an overwhelming advantage in numbers. If we could get our hands on bombs, that would be fantastic news for us. That's right, and I've already ordered the dragon race to build a factory overnight. When the two sides fight, we'll be able to supply you with an unlimited supply of gunpowder and bombs. All right, Yi Zichen nodded solemnly. This news had given him quite a bit of excitement as well. So long as we have enough gunpowder, I'll definitely teach those bastards a lesson. However, as he waved his arms, the wound on his body tugged. He couldn't help but gasp. A streak of red seeped out of his chest. When Zuemo saw it, it's just a small wound. It's nothing. Give me a few days, and I'll recover. Yi Zichen pursed his lips into a smile, then changed the subject. How many explosives do you have on hand? How long will it take for the factory to produce them? I have tens of thousands. Even if the factory works nonstop, it'll take about 3 days, said Zuemo. Chapter 932. Suspicion Gu Li sat in the demon race's former commander's throne within the territory of the blood zombies. He basked in the tranquility of the palace's pitch-black darkness. Thud, thud, thud. The sound of footsteps echoed through the pitch-black hall. Gu Li arched his brows, raised his hand, and a purplish-red bonfire appeared in the center of the hall. The bonfire brought some light to the pitch-black hall, but the purple light made the hall seem even more eerie. Your Excellency Gu Li. Jiangchen stopped in front of the bonfire and bowed deeply. Gu Li nodded calmly, then raised his right hand. Jiangchen felt a wave of spiritual power surround him and lift him to his feet. Why have you come here so late at night? Your Excellency Gu Li, I've actually come here to... Jiangchen wanted to say something, but stopped. From his expression, it was clear that he was struggling internally. He was hesitating whether or not to speak his mind. Gu Li's lips curved into a smile as he looked down at Jiangchen. If you have something to say, just say it. I want to confirm whether or not I'll truly help you conquer the world. If I do, you'll give me the Beast God Soul Essence. After hesitating for a long time, Jiangchen said what was on his mind. In truth, before coming here, he'd struggled countless times. Gu Li's personality was hard to fathom. He didn't know whether or not his questions would anger him, but there was nothing he could do. Hamba and Ho Qing had gone to search for Ngo's soul and hadn't returned. If Ngo's soul really did scatter, then even if he devoured Hamba and Ho Qing, he wouldn't be able to return to his former peak. The only thing he could do to make up for it was Gu Li's beast god soul essence. If he could get his hands on it, he might have a chance. That was why he'd braced himself and come here to ask. Soul essence. Gu Li spat out those two words, then crossed his legs and rubbed his fingers. For a long time, he said nothing. Gu Li didn't realize just how much pressure this silence weighed on him. This was especially so when combined with the purple light in the hall, which made his heart sink again and again. I've said too much. I'll take my leave. After a brief internal struggle, Jiangchun chose to retreat. However, just as he was about to leave, Gu Li smiled calmly. Why would you say that, Brother Jiangchun? Just now, I was just thinking about something else and was a bit distracted. Then, just now, Brother Jiangchun, you were a bit off, laughed Gu Li. I don't want to take over the world. I don't care about this tiny place at all. What I want is Yi Zichen's life. I know. So as long as I kill him, then this soul essence. I'll give it to you, Gu Li said without the slightest hesitation. I don't think you need to worry about the beast god's soul essence at all. At that time, I'd already sworn a great heart demon oath that I would give this stone to you. Regardless of whether it was to protect myself or something else, does Brother Jiangchun think I'd dare violate my vow on my inner demons? I Li S, brother. I Li T, Brother Jianjin. Beastly Li in. He in. Gu God. Gu Li of Su Gu Dragon I in King and I. Thank you, Your Excellency, but there's something else I'd like to ask you. Speak, said Gu Li. The beast god's soul essence is real, isn't it? When Jiangchun said this, he threw caution to the wind. Gu Li's eyes narrowed into slits as he sat in his chair. Brother Jiangchun, are you doubting me? Believe it or not, I'll... Jiangchun's pupils constricted despite himself when he looked at him like a venomous snake. He didn't dare offend Gu Li again. I wouldn't dare. Please hold back, Your Excellency. I'm just joking, laughed Gu Li. Gu Li smiled calmly, then said, I already said, I know how important this stone is to you. I'll keep it safe for the time being. All right. If there's nothing else, you may leave. Yes, Your Excellency. Jiangchun cupped his hands and left the hall. Suddenly, an illusory figure appeared within the purple flames. He's starting to suspect something. Of course he suspects something. If he didn't, he'd just be too stupid, snorted Gu Li. Gu Li snorted. The beast god's soul essence is incredibly rare. The lower three realms are so barren. How slim is his chance of finding it? Furthermore, it just so happened to land in my hands. How could he possibly not be suspicious? But right now, he can only bet that the stone in my hands is real. Why? Ingo is dead. He's missing a portion of his soul. He was originally a primordial beast transformed from Godfather. The only one capable of restoring his soul is the beast god of old. Gu Li smiled faintly, then cracked his neck. That's why he has no choice but to gamble. But if he finds out the stone is fake, won't he take revenge on you? Let him be, sneered Gu Li. After I kill Yi Zichen, I'll absorb his heavenly Tao. Jiangchun's soul is incomplete. What can he do to me? Right now, the only ones who can compare to me are Black Dragon and Yi Zichen. I don't know what kind of fortuitous encounter Black Dragon encountered, but his strength has skyrocketed. Furthermore, he still has Su Yun, but he's naturally paranoid. Why set him back then will definitely drive a wedge between him and Su Yun. As for Yi Zichen, he has far too many helpers. If Jiangchun has a chance to kill him, that'll be fantastic news for me. Russell. Jiangchun's expression was indescribably solemn as he walked along the gravel path back to his room. That soul might really be fake. He didn't know why, but he sensed that from Gu Li's words. But it was just as Gu Li thought. He could only bet that the soul essence was real. There was no turning back. He could only brace himself and continue on his way. When he returned to his room, the lights were on. He pushed the door open and entered. Elder brother, Hamba and Ho Qing stood within the room and cupped their fists. Jiangchun, who'd already guessed the outcome, sighed, but couldn't help but ask, how did it go? Did you find anything? If we hadn't, how could we report back? Laughed Hamba. Is that so? Jiangchun's expression was solemn, but before long, his eyes widened. He grabbed Hamba by the shoulder. What did you just say? Because he was too agitated, He did not control his strength properly. Hamba's shoulder was squeezed until it cracked. Elder brother. Hamba's face contorted in pain. Jiangchen finally let go. However, he paid no attention to Hamba's injuries. Instead, he asked, "What did you just say? You found the soul?" "That's right, we found it. It's in perfect condition." Hamba forced a smile. "Then hurry up and give me the soul." Jiangchen's expression was one of anxiety and excitement. They'd actually found it, and it was in perfect condition. "Elder brother, look." Hamba struggled to turn her hand over. Ingo's soul was in her palm. Chapter 9:33. My life his soul was unharmed. Jiangchen's eyes blazed as he gazed at the translucent, untainted soul in Hamba's hands. Rapid breathing came from his nose and mouth. He reached out his hand and took the soul. When Hitorigami and I found this soul, we were also shocked. At that time, this soul was hiding in a cave not far away. When it saw us, it flew over to us of its own accord, as if it had been waiting for us to find it. Ho Ching looked at the soul and smiled. For some reason, he felt as if a massive weight had been lifted from his shoulders. Indeed, they were collectively known as the 4 zombie progenitors, but they knew that Jiangchen was superior to them. He, Ingo, and Hamba were, at most, vessels for souls. So long as he had the chance, Jiangchen would devour their souls and return to the insufferably arrogant Denglong. He felt a little sad, but there was nothing he could do about it. Good. Jiangchen nodded repeatedly as he carefully held the soul in his hands. So long as the soul existed, he was still whole. Guli would never have imagined that Ingo's soul would remain whole after releasing the Rakshasa Sea of Blood. He'd better have the real thing, otherwise he wouldn't have a good ending. Big brother, the soul is now in your hands. Hamba and I will leave now. She needs time to recover from the wound on her arm. When he saw that Jiangchen was in a good mood, Ho Ching dared speak up. All right, let's go. After obtaining the soul, Jiangchen focused almost entirely on it. He didn't so much as glance at Ho Ching and the others. Just as they reached the door, Jiangchen said, I'm going into seclusion for the next few days to merge with the soul. For the next few days, I'm going into seclusion to merge with this soul. Don't let anyone disturb me, especially Guli. Got it. Jiangchen shut the door tightly. His eyes were filled with greed as he stared at the strand of soul. Niwa, just you wait. As soon as he finished speaking, he opened his mouth wide and threw the wisp of soul into it. Creak. Ho Ching gently pushed the door shut. Hamba couldn't help but let out a low, pained cry. At the time, Jiangchen had practically crushed his entire shoulder. That kind of heart-wrenching pain had always been on her nerves. However, she did not dare to make a sound and could only endure it. Hurry up and go back to recuperate, Ho Ching said as he glanced at Hamba. I know. Hamba endured the pain in his shoulder and looked at the room behind him. Why did you give this soul to him? You're the one who gave it to him, aren't you? Ho Ching laughed. Hamba bit her lip and didn't say anything. She didn't want to give it to him, but she didn't dare not to. I know what you're thinking. I would do the same if I were you. Ho Ching smiled faintly. It looks like we're on the same level on the outside, but we all know very well who's king in the end. Jiangchen is his main body. We can't attack him, nor do we dare disobey him. But if we give Ingo's soul to him, will we have a good ending? Ho Ching could not help but be stunned when he heard that. He raised his head to look at the bright moon in the sky and let out a light sigh. Who knows? Then if he really wants to take our souls back, should we give them to him or not? Hamba didn't know what to do. She suddenly regretted giving Ingo's soul to Jiangchen. In the past, they might have been able to keep each other in check. But if Jiangchen absorbed Ingo's soul, even if she and Ho Ching worked together, they wouldn't be able to turn the tables. No one can say for sure until then. Ho Ching's gaze darkened. In truth, my wish is very simple. As long as the Yellow Emperor dies. So what if I return his soul to Jiangchen? AI. Hamba couldn't help but sigh. Ho Ching's gaze shifted. Then he pursed his lips and snorted. All right, don't think too much about it. Go back and recuperate. We still don't know if Jiangchen wants our souls or not. So we shouldn't worry too much. You're right. Hamba nodded, then turned to leave. Just as she was about to reach her residence, she suddenly sensed someone following her. "Who is it?" she shouted angrily. Before long, Ho Ching emerged from the darkness. "Why did you follow me? You're injured, aren't you? I was afraid you'd be in danger, so I secretly escorted you back," laughed Ho Ching. Sorry for the trouble. Although she sensed something was off, she still nodded at him. "I'm safe now. Hurry up and go back." "How could I do that? I have to see you enter your room before I can deliver you safely." "What on earth do you want?" Hamba's expression changed. She looked at Ho Ching warily. "You're very strange." "Of course I'm strange. This time I've come to take your life." As he spoke, Ho Ching inched closer, his face wreathed in smiles. "Ho Ching." Hamba frowned and retreated. Ho Ching simply smiled and arched his brows. "What are you doing? You've realized it too. In the future, Jiangchun will definitely want both our souls. Instead of giving them to him, why not give them to me? I've always treated you well." "Ho Ching, don't do anything rash." Hamba couldn't help but frown as she retreated. Normally, she wouldn't be afraid of Ho Ching, but Jiangchun had crushed her shoulders. Her strength lay in her strength. Crippling her arms was equivalent to crippling all of her strength. If you want to blame someone, blame Jiangchun. If he hadn't crushed your arms, I might not have even thought of doing this. Ho Ching's face was filled with viciousness. He kept pressing forward. Hamba didn't dare to think too much. She turned around and dashed away. "Trying to run?" Ho Ching smirked, but continued walking at a leisurely pace. It was a dead end. When she saw that there was no way out, Hamba's heart sank. She turned around and saw that Ho Ching was still approaching her at a leisurely pace. "Ho Ching, be rational. If you don't want to give him your soul, then we can work together." "Work together?" "Swallowing your soul isn't as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. And I should be very clear about this." "Ho Ching, shut up. Giving me your soul isn't a loss." As soon as he finished speaking, Ho Ching brazenly attacked Hamba. An hour later, "Can't you just leave it to me like a good girl?" Ho Ching glanced down at Hamba, then slung her over his shoulder. His expression was cold as he snorted at Jiangchun's room. Chapter 9:34. Dragon Race spies the location of the Dragon Clan's mountain was too barren and unsuitable for the Dragon Clan to inhabit. The Dragon Clan had already abandoned this place. So Mo asked the dragons to give up a piece of land to build a factory, so they gave it up. In just a few days, the desolate land of the Dragon Clan had undergone earth-shattering changes. The gunpowder factory had already been built. Quite a few people were working as far as the eye could see. "You're quite fast, Pavilion Masterswa," said the clan head with a smile. He'd only come to see how things were progressing because he had nothing better to do. He never would have guessed things would progress so quickly. No wonder the human race could unite the world. They had a natural advantage in both reproduction and reproduction. In other aspects, they left the Yao panic-stricken as well. Time is of the essence. The demons and blood zombies are eyeing us like tigers stalking their prey. They could attack at any moment. We must seize every second and seize the initiative. That's the only way to increase our chances of victory, said Zuo solemnly. Zuomo's expression was solemn. A solemn aura filled the air. She wasn't the happy-go-lucky type. There was no way she could still talk cheerfully at a time like this. Pavilion Master Zua is right, said the clan head with a nod. Of course, it's all thanks to the clan head for giving us this place, said Zuo. The old clan head hurriedly reached out to support her. Pavilion Master Zua, what are you doing? Since our dragon clan resides here, we naturally have a responsibility towards the future of the three realms. Isn't this what we should be doing? At that moment, the illusory image of an azure dragon appeared in the sky. Father. It was the dragon race's second master, Xia Kik's uncle, Xia Inqiu. A few days ago, he left to investigate why he hadn't received any signals. You're back. The clan head's expression changed when he saw him. He cupped his hands as Mo, Pavilion Master Zua, I won't disturb you any longer. I'll be on my way. Take care, clan head. Zua Mo watched the clan head and Xia Inqiu leave. Then she returned to the factory and joined in on the production of explosives. Is there no more clues? The clan head asked Xiao as they made their way back to the dragon race's great hall. No signal. The problem was far too serious. He couldn't help but pay attention to it. Yes, said Xiao solemnly. Could it be? The old clan head wanted to say something, but hesitated. Xiao nodded, his thick, ink-black brows knitted together. I can't explain it all at once, but when I went to investigate, I caught someone. He's in the main hall right now. You'll understand when you see him. All right, Dragon Clan Hall. The clan's elders were all seated. Clearly, Xiao had notified them ahead of time when he'd gone to find the former clan head. There was a man kneeling in the middle of the hall. He was trembling with his head buried in the ground. He was very nervous. Ta. The old clan leader walked in with a majestic gait. When he saw the man kneeling in the main hall, his gaze stopped on him. After a long time, he withdrew his gaze and walked back to his seat. Ingxiu, tell everyone who this is. At that moment, Xiao walked up to the man and spoke to the seated clan head and the clan elders. Clan leader, elders, this person is a spy planted in our dragon clan by the demon clan. The crowd burst into an uproar. Almost everyone in the hall looked at the person kneeling on the ground, and their faces were filled with shock. The demons actually extended their claws into our dragon race. How is that possible? We've always had very few members. If the dragon race planted spies in our ranks, how could we not know? This is too unimaginable. The crowd was in an uproar, especially the elder sitting next to the clan head. His fingers trembled as he spoke. Ingxiu, don't joke around. The elder could be considered a senior member of the dragon race. He was the dragon race's XXXXXX third elder. Great-grandfather, shouldn't you know better than your nephew, whether I'm joking or not? To everyone's surprise, Xiao smiled playfully and replied sarcastically to the old man. The elder's pupils constricted, and he frowned. What do you mean? Do you still think that this spy was planted by me? When the old man said this, he was very angry. His old face kept trembling, and the walking stick in his hand kept hitting the ground, making dong-dong sounds. I've served the dragon race for tens of thousands of years. You, third elder, please calm down. Everyone in the hall was the elder's junior. Even the clan head had to respectfully address him as third elder. When they saw how angry he was, they all tried to comfort him. Ingxiu, what are you saying? Berated the clan head. Great-grandfather, please calm down, said Xiao with a smile. At that moment, Xiao laughed. You're getting on in years. If your anger damages your health, will my father beat me to death? Some people tried to comfort him, but others felt that there was something fishy going on. Xiao could be considered the most outstanding genius of the dragon race's younger generation. What he just said was definitely true. There was definitely something fishy going on. Second brother, what exactly did you mean by those words just now? Asked the current clan head of the dragon race, Xiaoqi's father, Xiaoingda. Great-grandfather, you're not allowed to spout nonsense. That was what he said, but from his tone, everyone could tell that he was already on Xiao's side. Big brother, when have you ever seen me spout nonsense? Why would I target great-grandfather? Huh? Xiaoingda grabbed the head of the person next to him by the hair. His face, which had been buried in the ground this entire time, appeared before everyone's eyes. Everyone in the hall froze. The man kneeling on the ground was middle-aged, but he radiated the weathered vicissitudes of life. Xiao hurriedly let go after grabbing him, then laughed. Hey, look at my temper. How could I grab great-grandfather's head? I really deserve to die. Father, please punish me. But great-grandfather seems to be your child, right? I'm just a junior, so I'd better shut up. As he spoke, Xiao knelt on the ground. However, no one in the hall spoke. Eldest uncle, how could it be you? After a long while, the clan head seated on the highest seat spoke up, his voice filled with disbelief. This dragon race spy was he was his senior. The others in the hall didn't know what to say either. They didn't know what to make of this. The dragon race cared a lot about seniority. It could be said that the higher one's seniority, the higher their status within the dragon race. Whether it was the great-grandfather or his heirs, Chapter 9:35. It's him silence. Everyone frowned and looked at each other. Xia Yingda glared viciously at Xia Yingqiu. On their way here, Xia Yingqiu had sought him out and asked him to put in a few words for them. When he'd asked who it was, his little brother had mysteriously told him. It'll definitely be a pleasant surprise. What a pleasant surprise. Xia Yingda furrowed his brows as he looked at the man on the ground. Even though he'd already imagined 10,000 possibilities, he still couldn't quite wrap his head around it. The third great-grandfather's eldest son, their generation's eldest granduncle. He glared at Xia Yingqiu, then realized, this kid, was he winking at him? Go on. Didn't I say I'd let you speak up for me? From Xia Yingqiu's expression, he could tell what his little brother wanted to say. Go on. Was it really that easy? How could juniors like them possibly comment on this sort of senior? Even if this senior really was colluding with demons, Xia Yingqiu had no right to say anything. His gaze involuntarily landed on the old chief. Right now, the only person who was closest to the two elders was his father. The old patriarch's current situation was not much better than theirs. When he saw the spy, his head buzzed. His eldest uncle had once been in charge of the dragon race's punishments. Back then, he'd been the most impartial judge. When he was young, he'd always been by his uncle's side. From a young age, he'd been instilled with countless ideas of loyalty to the dragon race. But now, he couldn't panic. The elders in the hall were already in a state of chaos. If he panicked too, it would truly be chaos. Taking a deep breath, the old patriarch looked at the third great-grandfather. Third great-grandfather, this is your son. This, you unfilial son. The elder, who'd been sitting upright this entire time, suddenly raised his walking stick and viciously threw it at the kneeling figure. At that moment, Xia Yingqiu, who'd been silent all this time, suddenly appeared in front of him and caught the walking stick. Great-grandfather, you can't just throw that walking stick around. If you don't have him, how are you going to escape? With a faint smile, he tossed the walking stick in his hand back. The walking stick landed on the ground and made a crisp sound. However, this crisp sound contained an indescribable meaning in the ears of everyone in the hall. There was something wrong with this old man. Yingqiu, don't be rude. I almost forgot. I'm a junior, huh? When he heard the clan head's rebuke, Xia Yingqiu laughed mischievously. But great-grandfather, you're going a bit too far. The spiritual energy contained within that staff isn't as simple as anger, right? Cleaning up the family? Isn't this too much of a rush? My grandfather hasn't even said anything. Don't you believe that I'm slandering him? All of you are elders. Who would dare to say that you are not? Little Yingqiu, I know you're suspecting me, your great-grandfather, and that's understandable. This is my son. Anyone would suspect me. The old master narrowed his eyes and straightened his hunched body at this moment. But I, Xia Dong, have a clear conscience. This unfilial son of mine actually colluded with demons. It's my fault for not disciplining him properly. You're all juniors, so you can't do anything to this unfilial son. As his father, I can only clean up the family. Wow, great-grandfather, your righteousness is truly a role model for us juniors, said Xia Yingqiu exaggeratedly. Xia Yingqiu put on an exaggerated expression. But there's no need for you to be in such a rush to clean up the clan, is there? My granduncle was our only breakthrough point. If you kill him, what will we do if someone else in the dragon race colludes with demons? It's already a misfortune for the dragon clan to produce such an unfilial son. Would someone else dare do something so rebellious? Snorted the old man. Who can say for sure? Maybe he's just senile and did it. As he spoke, Xia Yingqiu's expression became indescribably cold. Everyone in the great hall frowned as they watched the scene unfold. The old man's expression also darkened. Who are you calling senile? Everyone knows who I'm talking about. There's no need for me to point that out, said Xia Yingqiu, refusing to budge an inch. The atmosphere grew heavy. Xia Yingda, who'd been pondering how to help his little brother the entire time, spoke up. Great-grandfather, this second brother of mine is a straightforward person. He doesn't think before he speaks, so please bear with him. Just as Xia Yingqiu was about to speak, Xia Yingda glared viciously at him, indicating for him to shut up. But what Yingqiu says makes sense. Right now, This grand uncle is our only breakthrough point. Although the dragon clan is unyielding and unyielding, no one can guarantee that they'll be able to withstand temptation. You say you have a clear conscience, so what if we interrogate him? If it really has nothing to do with you, we can still prove your innocence. When the time comes, Ingxiu and I will kneel and apologize to you. How's that sound? Hey, my eldest brother is right. If there really is nothing wrong, you can do whatever you want of me, said Xiao Ingxiu. Third grandfather, let's just ask, said the old clan head. That's right, great-grandfather, let's just ask, said the other elders. The general direction was already leaning towards Xiao Ingxiu's side. Even if the old man wanted to take advantage of his seniority, it was useless. Then go ahead and interrogate me. I'm a bit tired and need to go back and rest. When the time comes, just tell me the results. Hey, you can't leave, said the old man. Just as the old man was about to leave, Xiao Ingxiu stopped him. Without you here, we won't have a senior to hold the fort. It'll be difficult to interrogate him. Besides, you were so energetic just now. Why are you suddenly so tired? I don't mean anything by it. It's just that. Why don't you stay a bit longer? Xiao Ingxiu, shouted the old man, only to discover that no one was speaking up for him. Furthermore, from their gazes, he knew he had to stay. Fine, I'll stay. I refuse to believe that I'll have anything to do with it. The old man sat down resentfully, then turned to the man on the ground. Unfilial son, confess everything. Great-grandfather wants you to confess. Tell us everything you've told me. Xiao Ingxiu pressed his lips together into a smile, then crouched on the ground. The man kneeling on the ground raised his head. His gaze seemed to subconsciously glance at the old master. The old man noticed his gaze and snorted. What are you looking at me for? What are you looking at me for? Do you think I can save you after doing such a rebellious thing? Tell me everything you know. Who knows, I might even be able to save your life. Right. Be honest, said Xiao Ingxiu with a smile. Remember, you must tell the truth. As someone who was once in charge of punishment, you should know the dragon race's rules. If you lie, it's no laughing matter. I'll talk. Only at this moment did the person kneeling on the ground speak with a trembling voice. Soon after, he extended a finger towards the old patriarch and spoke to everyone in the hall. Chapter 9:36. I can do it, right? It's him. When the people in the hall heard this, they were no longer able to make any expressions that could express their emotions. They watched as the former disciplinary elder pointed his finger at the old master, who had just returned to his seat not too long ago, with an expression on the verge of breaking down. Unfilial son, you unfilial son. The old man hadn't even warmed his seat yet. He grabbed his walking stick and prepared to attack the man on the ground. Xiao Ingxiu glanced meaningfully at Xiao Ingda. His older brother tossed a few stones to the ground. A cage-like chain wrapped around the old man. He stood up and said, Great-grandfather, please calm down. Great-grandfather, don't be impatient. Great-grandfather has just begun. Bang. The walking stick struck the walls of the cage with a loud thud. All right, Xiao Ingda, you've really got some guts. You even dare to lock up your great-grandfather. Great-grandfather, please forgive me. Right now, great-grandfather is our only lead. I can't let you do anything to him, and we can't do anything to you either. Restraining you inside is the best solution, said Xiao Ingda courteously. Xiao Ingda replied politely as he bowed to the old man. Please forgive me if I've offended you. All right, then I'd like to hear what else this unfilial son has to say. The moment he finished speaking, the old man became especially calm as he sat down. His dragon eyes stared at his eldest son on the ground. Speak. That's more like it. Xiao Ingxiu smiled calmly, then patted the old man on the ground. Great-grandfather told you to speak. Just continue. Don't worry. You won't be in any danger right now. You taught my eldest brother how to use the dragon trapping formation. You should know better. It's him. Xiaodong arranged for me to contact the demons. The former sentencing elder on the ground seemed to have calmed down a lot. He swallowed his saliva and said, Inside the dragon trapping formation, the old man trembled uncontrollably. Xiao Ingxiu glanced at him, then turned to the man on the ground. Keep talking, don't stop, right? Don't make it too complicated. Just get to the point. With that, he tilted his head and looked at the crowd in the hall with a smile. Everyone, you have to listen carefully. There are many stories behind this. It's like this. The man gritted his teeth and said, Xiaodong contacted me half a year ago and asked me to meet someone on his behalf. Who? The old chief asked. Guli. He's very young. When I first met him, he told me that he sincerely wanted to cooperate with us. Once we succeed, we'll become the true rulers of the Beast region. At the time, I was very confused. Our dragon clan is one of the strongest clans in the Beast region. Why would he say such things? Although I didn't understand, I didn't ask any questions. I went back and told Xia Dong about our conversation. Have any of you heard of Guli? Asked the old family head. Everyone shook their heads. They were high-ranking members of the dragon clan and usually lived in seclusion in the mountains. They would not come out unless there was something particularly important. They really had no idea who Guli was. Go on. After I reported to Xia Dong told me that the man was from the demon race. He asked me if I wanted to cooperate with him and the demon race. I froze. I'm in charge of punishment, so I know the severity of betrayal. I refused, but what? He said that if we cooperated with the demons, the entire dragon clan would belong to us, father and son. It wouldn't just be the demons. The Phoenix clan, the Nine-Tailed clan, the White Tiger clan, the Psychic Ape clan, and the Black Tortoise clan would all have to bow their heads before us. When the time comes, I'll be the leader of all beasts and be worshipped by all. You agree? Someone in the hall asked. How could I dare? The kneeling man smiled bitterly. I'm the elder of punishment. The idea of serving the entire clan has long since been etched into my mind. Back then, I begged to differ. I even warned him not to get too involved. I was afraid that if the truth was revealed, I wouldn't be able to repay him even if I had 10 lives. But he told me that we were elders of the Dragon Clan. No one would dare do anything to us. Even if something really did happen, he could protect me. He even said that if I became the leader of all beasts, the Empress of the Nine-Tailed Fox Clan, the Empress, would also be mine. He couldn't continue. Perhaps he found such filthy words difficult to speak of. However, Xiao Yingqiu spoke on his behalf. The Empress of the Nine-Tailed Fox Clan, Su Lu, would become his, and those fox women would be for him to enjoy. That's how he felt her beauty. Really, he's already so old, yet he's still thinking about such things. Hey, great-grandfather, is there anything else you want to say? Xiao Yingqiu snorted disdainfully as he spoke. Utter nonsense. In the dragon-trapping formation, the old master was so angry that his entire body was trembling. The walking stick in his hand kept knocking on the ground. Fine, I think the real traitor is you, Xiao Yingqiu. You're trying to smear my name? TCH, great-grandfather, you're still a senior. That's beneath you. But that doesn't matter to me. I'm filled with righteousness. If I'm upright, I fear no crooked shadows. If you suspect me, I'll accept the organization's investigation. All right, I put on a good show. Elders, what do you think? Xiao Yingqiu ignored the great-grandfather's fury. Instead, he smiled and cupped his hands at everyone in the hall. The rest of the people in the hall all had awkward expressions on their faces. They also found it hard to believe. The two most senior members of the dragon race had actually colluded with demons? Former clan head, what do you think we should do now? If we're talking about punishment, we should execute them on the spot, said Xiao Yingda. That's right, agreed the former clan head. You wouldn't dare. Inside the dragon-trapping formation, the great-grandfather's eyes narrowed. I protected the dragon race for tens of thousands of years. Our generation fought for the dragon race's territory. Xiaohua, when I was clan head, you weren't even born yet. How dare you decide my life and death? Who gave you the gall? Bang! The walking stick in his hand struck the ground, and the granite ground cracked outwards. The former clan head hesitated. Xiao Yingda hesitated as well. The great-grandfather was right. The dragon race's territory had been fought for by their generation. Their military accomplishments were even higher than the heavens. Juniors like them had no right to decide his life and death. But he was colluding with demons. If you don't dare. When he saw that no one else dared speak, the great-grandfather snorted. If you don't dare, Then hurry up and let him go. Umph. A bunch of juniors want to decide my life and death. Chapter 9:37. Judgment Senior Dragon God. When the dragon god's soul appeared in the main hall, everyone rose to their feet and bowed. Even Xia Yingqiu, who'd always been brash, respectfully greeted him. Senior Dragon God. The dragon god smiled calmly and nodded, then arched his brows. It's pretty lively here. Even some old fogies I rarely see have come out. Everyone smiled apologetically. In front of the dragon god, who would dare call themselves old fogies. This was someone who'd existed since the great war of demons and gods. He was an ancestor of the dragon race. Forget about the others. Just take the Venerable One, for example. He'd always thought highly of his seniority. Even when facing the dragon god, he still had to respectfully greet him. Ancestor. When he saw the dragon god, the Venerable One's expression clearly changed. Someone more senior than him had appeared. He could no longer use his seniority to suppress others. When the Venerable One saw the dragon god, his expression flickered. In truth, he didn't want to trouble the dragon god. This ancestor-level existence was worrying too much for the dragon clan. Originally, he wanted to solve all of this without letting the dragon god know. But now the dragon god was here, too. Just a moment ago, he'd been vexed over the Venerable One's identity. Now, everything was resolved. Senior Dragon God, please take a seat. The Venerable One offered his seat. The dragon god didn't refuse and sat down. When he did, everyone else had to move to the side. This was too troublesome, so the Venerable One simply stood by the dragon god's side and listened to his judgment. Tell me, what exactly is going on? You're all stumped. Yingda, you tell us. Senior Dragon God, it's like this. Xia Yingda stood up and recounted everything that had happened, word for word. The old dragon god did not interrupt Xia Yingda. He simply closed his eyes and listened carefully. That's the situation. We suspect that the Venerable One suspects that he's colluding with demons, right? The dragon god didn't have the slightest misgivings about what juniors like Xia Yingda dared say. Then his gaze fell on the old man. Xia Dong, are they telling the truth? What Yingda said is true. Xia Dong nodded, then frowned. But I've never been in cahoots with demons. It's my unfilial son who's framing me. Senior Dragon God, please make a wise decision. He no longer used his seniority to suppress others. Instead, he anxiously tried to explain himself. When the people in the hall saw this, they could not help but sigh in their hearts. In their hearts, they had already decided that this old master was a spy for the demon race. If he really framed you, then he really is an unfilial son. The dragon god smiled faintly, but he didn't judge Xia Dong. Instead, he turned to the rest of the people in the hall. All of you, please leave. I want to speak to this demon spy in private. Yes. Everyone in the great hall walked out without any hesitation. The old man's dragon-trapping formation also dispersed Xia Yingda's, and he left with the crowd. Not long after, only the old dragon god and the spy were left in the hall. I'm getting old, so my memory isn't so good. Can I trouble you to repeat what you told me in Yingda just now? Just what does the old dragon god mean by this? Why did he chase us all out? The dragon race elders couldn't help but frown. They couldn't figure out what the old dragon god was thinking. However, when they looked at the old man, their gazes became somewhat indescribable. The old man hadn't fled even after leaving the hall. He knew very well, even if he wanted to run, he couldn't possibly do so in front of so many people. Furthermore, if he did run, wouldn't that prove that he was guilty? Kid, you've really given me a pleasant surprise. The elders stood together in twos and threes. The two brothers, Xia Yingda and Xia Yingqiu, naturally walked together as well. It's a pleasant surprise, isn't it? Laughed Xia Yingqiu. Pretty serious, isn't it? Big bro, shouldn't you reward me well after this? Young master, don't play games with me. Xia Yingda kicked Xia Yingqiu and said, You brat, what exactly did you do to him to scare him like that? He's the former disciplinary elder. What hasn't he seen before? Look at you. You're underestimating your little brother, aren't you? I'm the current disciplinary elder. The student has surpassed the master. Haven't you heard of this saying? Isn't getting him to talk a simple matter? Then how exactly did you do it? Little tricks. I can't tell you. You brat. Xia Ingdao rolled his eyes in exasperation, then looked at his little brother helplessly. Ingxiu, you're not young anymore. Isn't it time to find someone to marry? Our dragon race has plenty of good girls. How about I help you find one? Look at your eldest niece. She's already grown up, but she's already married. You're still nowhere to be found. Not again, said Xia Ingxiu, frowning. How many times do I have to tell you? This isn't where my ambitions lie. Then do you still want to be single for the rest of your life? You should know that our dragon race's reproductive abilities are terrible. Every single dragon is our race's greatest treasure. I've heard that 10,000 times already. My ears are about to grow calluses. There's a saying that goes, the world has yet to be settled. How can you settle down? It's not that your little brother doesn't want to settle down. Let's talk after we kick those demons out, all right? All right, come on in. Just as Xiangda was about to speak, the dragon god transmitted from within the hall. Xiangqiu took advantage of the opportunity to laugh. Senior dragon god is looking for us. Senior dragon god is looking for us. Let's talk about marriage next time. As he watched Xiangqiu run off, Xiangda couldn't help but shake his head. He could only sigh helplessly and return to the hall. Everyone took their seats. The spy was still kneeling on the ground. Once everyone was seated, the dragon god spoke. I made everyone wait outside for a long time. You must be a little impatient. Senior dragon god, what are you saying? Everyone in the hall smiled apologetically. In truth, I didn't say much to him just now. You don't need to think too much about it. All right, let's talk about Xia Dong's matter. With a wave of his right hand, Xia Dong floated up from his chair and landed in the center of the hall. No matter what you say, Xia Dong's contributions to the dragon race cannot be erased. Even if he made a grave mistake, his crime isn't worthy of death. Let's punish him by sending him to clean up the dragon race's blood ponds for 3,000 years. Do you have any objections? Everyone shook their heads. Only Xia Ingxiu furrowed his brows, but he didn't object. All right, then it's settled. Xia Dong, go clean up the blood ponds now. Chapter 9:38. Wait Moreno, one in the hall, was surprised by this outcome. Colluding with demons was a crime deserving of death. However, what puzzled them was that the disciplinary elder wasn't the one in charge at all. At most, he was an accomplice. Xia Dong, who truly colluded with the demons, hadn't been sentenced to death. He'd only been punished to clean up the dragon race's blood pools for 3,000 years. His accomplice, however, had been sentenced to death. In terms of merit, could it be that the disciplinary elder had contributed less? Not necessarily. However, this was what the dragon god had said. Even if they were confused, they couldn't say it aloud. Moreover, their definition of the former punishment elder was also a death sentence. Kneeling on the ground, the disciplinary elder didn't beg for mercy. Instead, there was a hint of relief in his eyes. He prostrated himself on the ground, kowtowing in thanks to the dragon god. Even when his head bled, he didn't stop. Rest in peace. The old dragon god sighed faintly and pointed at the former punishment elder in the hall. He, who had been kowtowing incessantly, stopped when the finger pointed at him. By the time everyone went to check on him, he was already dead. This matter is over. Don't bring it up again in the future. Now that the demons are facing a great enemy, everyone should focus on how to defend against them. That's all. You may all leave. The people in the hall left in twos and threes. When they left, they also brought the punishment elder with them. The elder no longer had the right to enter the dragon race's ancestral hall. However, an extravagant funeral was unavoidable. The noisy hall suddenly became quiet, but the old dragon god still sat in his chair, not leaving. Roughly an hour later, Xia Ingdao returned. Senior dragon god. Xia Ingdao bowed upon entering the hall, then looked suspiciously at the old dragon god, who sat on the throne. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly received a voice transmission from the old dragon god, telling him to return to the palace in half an hour. Although he didn't understand, he'd still rush back to the hall. Ingda, I have some matters I need you to take care of. Half a month passed. Another half a month passed in the blink of an eye. The issue between Xia Dong and the former disciplinary elder was clearly being resolved internally by the dragon race. Not a single word of it had spread outside. At that moment, Yi Zichen stood in the dragon race's main hall. There was no one inside. Why did the old dragon god send me here? Yi Zichen's expression was somewhat hesitant. He couldn't help but look outside. He'd already been in the great hall for an hour, but he didn't see the dragon god or anyone else enter. If it weren't for the old dragon god's voice transmission informing him that he had important matters to attend to, he might have already left with a wave of his sleeves. This old man is really punctual. Sitting on the chair, he grumbled nonstop. Soon after, he took out his phone and repeatedly looked at the chat history on his phone. These records were the conversations of the god of thunder, Neza, Heavenly King Li, and other military figures in the heavenly court. From this conversation, he learned that on the day the struggle for 3 realms had ended, the North Pole Emperor had ordered them to go forth and reinforce the 3 realms. However, they got lost on the way. It seemed absurd, but they were all top-notch generals. How could they possibly get lost? Furthermore, they were supposed to go to Maple City. They'd been there countless times. There was no way they'd gotten lost. But the truth was that they'd gotten lost. It wasn't just them. The people, the underworld, and the immortal region had sent lost their way as well. As for why, even now, they had no way of knowing. In truth, Yi Zichen didn't even need to think to guess that this was definitely the work of the demons, Gu Li, and the others. However, for all 3 parties to get lost at the same time and turn back helplessly, this sort of method was top-notch. Yi Zichen sighed, then glanced at Yang Jian's chat history. Sky God Yang's profile picture was still that of a muscular man showing off his biceps. However, there was no longer that dazzling one on it. Their records. They'd stopped on the day of the struggle for 3 realms. They'd disappear because, bro, I'll be on the front lines first. When you get here, just wait to be crowned king and marquis. There was a row of sunglasses wearing emojis. They were very arrogant, but they sounded exactly like Yi Zichen's words. The God Realm. I'll have to go sooner or later, Yi Zichen sighed. No matter what, Yi Zichen had to go to the God Realm. Whether it was to see the results of Yang Jian's front lines, or for Xiao Yumei, or Lu Jing, he had to go. He had to go. Even if the God Realm rejected him, he still had to go. Yi Zichen couldn't help but clench his fists, and his gaze sharpened. Little friend Yi, did you think of something? That gaze is quite frightening. At that moment, the old dragon god walked in with a smile. To tell the truth, ever since Yi Zichen met the dragon god, the old man's clothes have been constantly changing. Today, he wore a black robe, and his hair stood straight up. He looked hale and hearty, and his face, disregarding everything else, the dragon race's previous clan head looked like he was about to die, but the old dragon god looked like he was in the prime of his life. Yi Zichen really didn't know if he'd died early and solidified his soul form, or if he just liked to act young. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes and snorted in exasperation. Senior Dragon God, rumor has it that dragons are the most trustworthy of all. In that case, punctuality is part of that, right? Naturally, said the dragon god with a smile. But you made me wait here for nearly 2 hours. You're the dragon god of the dragon race. Is this how you're supposed to be? Ordinary dragons are naturally punctual. If anyone dares to break the rules, I'll take care of them. You're no ordinary dragon. You're the dragon god. That's right, I'm the dragon god. The dragon god chuckled and shrugged. Yi Zichen was just about to repeat what he'd just said, but then he realized what he'd just said. Speechless, he said, "You're really something. There's nothing I can do about it. No one dares control me." As soon as he finished speaking, the old dragon god walked to the highest seat in the hall and sat down. He stretched lazily and said, "As I get older, I like to doze off. Originally, I was going to be punctual, but as I said, old people like to doze off, so I fell asleep on the way." Anyone could tell that he was being perfunctory. Who would believe that he'd fallen asleep on the way? However, Yi Zichen had no time to waste words with him. He got right to the point. "Why exactly did you ask me to come here? You should know better than me how busy I am right now. Little friend Yi, have you forgotten why you lost your temper in the dragon race's great hall?" Laughed the dragon god. "What? Senior dragon god, have you thought of an explanation? Fine, I'm all ears." Yi Zichen pursed his lips into a smile. In truth, he didn't really care about that, but since the dragon god wanted to explain, he should at least give him a chance, right? There's no rush. Wait a moment. Still waiting? Chapter 9:39. Enlightenment 2 hours. Another 2 hours. From early morning until noon. It was now evening. Yi Zichen sat in his chair, looking up at the sun to determine the time. He repeatedly urged the dragon god to hurry up and say what he wanted to say. In the end, wait. Just this one word had caused him to waste an entire day's time. Senior dragon god, how much longer do you want me to wait? Yi Zichen couldn't remember how many times he'd said the same thing. Who knew how many times he'd considered leaving? But he didn't think the old dragon god was joking and telling him to just sit there and waste time. Moreover, now was definitely not the time to waste time. But even after so much time had passed, the old dragon god's eyes remained closed. He hadn't said anything other than wait. Who the hell knew what he was thinking? Senior, you should understand the current situation. The immortal region has fallen, and the demons and blood zombies could attack the beast region at any moment. Zhuamo and the others were all working overtime to mass-produce gunpowder. The rest of the people were using every second they had to do what they could. But now, we've been sitting here for an entire day. Do you think that's interesting? Even though he respected the old dragon god, Yi Zichen still made such a long speech. Of course, it was also because of his respect for the dragon god. If it were anyone else, he might have slapped them across the face. You have many good points, so I won't list them all. But your shortcomings are also obvious. You're too impetuous and impulsive. Perhaps this is a shortcoming that all young people have, but you're no ordinary young person. You're Emperor Yi of the immortal region, the backbone of countless people. You don't even have the slightest bit of patience. You're flustered and exasperated at the slightest provocation. How can you put the lives of all living things in your hands? The old dragon god finally opened his eyes, gazed intently at Yi Zichen, and pointed out his shortcomings. You need to learn to calm your heart. You need to remain calm no matter what. Only then can you accomplish great things. He couldn't deny that this was Yi Zichen's shortcoming. He was well aware of it. However, if Senior Dragon God had called him here just to point out this point, then he could only say that it was a waste of time. Did you call me here just to say this? Asked Yi Zichen in a low voice. Part of it. The old Dragon God didn't deny it. He nodded and said, These flaws don't seem like much to you right now, but if you continue like this, these flaws might take your life. It will also take the lives of those who are centered around you. Yi Zichen took a deep breath and suppressed the impatience in his heart. All right, I'll try my best to restrain myself, but that's all for later. Can you tell me why you've asked me to come here? Wait. Yi Zichen had heard the same one-word reply countless times. You still want me to wait? When he heard this, Yi Zichen smiled wryly and helplessly, but he couldn't suppress his anger. 8 hours. I've been sitting here for a whole 8 hours. Just now, you said your first and second words of the day, and they were criticizing me. Now you still want me to wait. Do you want me to sit here until the demons attack? Keep your cool. When he saw Yi Zichen's impatience, the old dragon god lowered his gaze. I just told you to learn how to keep your cool. Now you can't hold back anymore. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I've indeed wasted a lot of your time, but even if I gave you all that time, what could you possibly do with it? Deduction? Deduction? Isn't that just a waste of time? Or do you think you could break through in your cultivation in 8 hours? But I've never disturbed you, so why can't you use your time? The old dragon god's words hit the nail on the head. Yi Zichen was speechless. His lips quivered. After a long while, the old dragon god spoke again. Valuing time isn't just for words. You have to take action. You're too impatient, and you're putting too much pressure on yourself. You have to change all of that. You do have pressure, but excessive pressure can crush a person. Only when you maintain a cool head can you better discover problems, think about them, and solve them. You've been in a rush this entire day. That's why you've wasted your time. I'm not the one wasting your time. You're the one wasting your time. Do you understand? This junior understands. Yi Zichen rose from his chair and bowed deeply to the old dragon god. Yi Zichen was sincerely grateful. If the old dragon god hadn't pointed it out to him, he might have continued like this. Sometimes he did recognize his own problems, but his understanding was far too superficial. The old dragon god nodded calmly. Yi Zichen said nothing else, then sat back down. He didn't urge the old dragon god any further. Instead, he focused his mind and did what he had to do. When the old dragon god saw this, he smiled and nodded. He had indeed called Yi Zichen here to discuss important matters, but he'd notified him ahead of time. Yi Zichen's goal was to take advantage of this opportunity to enlighten him. Otherwise, if he really suffered from this weakness, it would be too late. The sun set in the west, and night fell. Another 6 hours passed, and the sky outside had already turned completely dark. However, even after so much time had passed, Yi Zichen didn't show any signs of impatience. He simply went about his business as usual. During this time, he would also converse with the old dragon god, and the topics of their conversation were mostly about cultivation or how to deal with the demons. I have a rough idea of Black Dragon's strength. I sense that he's already surpassed the realm of immortal kings. However, due to the pressure of the laws, he doesn't dare reveal his true strength. At that moment, Yi Zichen and the dragon god happened to be talking about Black Dragon's strength, so he explained what he knew about him. So long as he doesn't dare reveal his strength, he won't be much of a threat, right? The old dragon god smiled calmly. If Black Dragon didn't reveal his true strength, he could only be a peak immortal king. That was all. Indeed, Yi Zichen nodded in agreement. At that moment, Xiaoyingda rushed into the main hall. Judging from his travel-worn appearance, he'd obviously been on the move for the past few days. Senior Dragon God, have you notified everyone? Asked the Dragon God with a nod. Yes, I've notified them all. Not just that, several clans have already arrived outside our territory, said Xiaoyingda. Chapter 940. The sacred clans gathered. Xiaoyingda accepted his orders and led the guests to the main hall. By now, Yi Zichen understood. The old dragon god had something important to discuss with him. He was probably referring to this very moment. You should know by now, right? The old dragon god smiled calmly. Yi Zichen smiled and nodded. It didn't take long. At the very least, it was far shorter than the several hours Yi Zichen had waited. Xiaoyingda left and reappeared in front of the main hall's doors. He stopped and gestured for them to enter. Senior Dragon God is already waiting inside. Xiaoyingda called out softly, and a group of people gradually appeared in front of the doors. At the very front was a man with a stocky build and a white buzz cut. The man was wearing clothes that looked like a leopard, and there was a scar on his left eye, which seemed to be blind. He was followed by 3 attendants, 2 men and 1 woman. All of them wore cold expressions and vigilant eyes as they surveyed their surroundings. The man seemed to be a frequent visitor of the dragon race. He walked into the main hall with familiarity. Senior Dragon God, I've long since heard the old dragon god mention you, but I've had too many trivial matters to attend to, so I've never had the time to visit. The buzz-cut man bowed deeply to the dragon god. The old dragon god smiled calmly. It's fine. The man's gaze landed on Yi Zichen, and he studied him with interest for a long time. This was extremely rude to someone you were meeting for the first time. Yi Zichen furrowed his brows in displeasure. Emperor Yi, I don't mean anything by it. It's just that people keep mentioning you to me. This is my first time meeting you, so I wanted to take a closer look. When the man noticed Yi Zichen's displeasure, he laughed. People keep mentioning me to you? Of course. Even if I did, you'd know Wei Chun. He's the one who mentions you to me every day. Don't you think we look a little alike? As he spoke, the man straightened his back, as if inviting Yi Zichen to look for him. Oh, Wei. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile. Then you must be the head of the White Tiger clan. It's an honor to meet you. How's Wei doing? For me to be able to stand before you in such a good condition, of course he is very good. You probably don't know this, but he's my avatar. But after leaving him for too long, this brat gave birth to his own soul. So I simply let him play by himself. Right? I still haven't introduced myself. I'm Leihu, the patriarch of the White Tiger tribe. Leihu's temperament could be seen from his appearance. He was a straightforward person, like a man from the north. Some people might not like this kind of person, but this kind of person was definitely suitable to be friends with. As long as you were in trouble, he would definitely rush to help you. Tiger Thunder, I can hear your loud voice from far away. At this moment, another group of people walked out of the hall. The person in the lead was a very skinny middle-aged man. Even though the weather was very hot, he still wore furry clothes. Beside him was someone Yi Zichen was familiar with, Zhuge Hong. There were also 3 people following behind them. Behind Zhuge Hong was Zhuge Kongming. When he saw Yi Zichen, Zhuge Kongming giggled and waved at him. However, he didn't run over rashly. It was obvious that little Kongming, who'd once run away from home, had grown up quite a bit. "You old turtle," snorted Lei Hu. "You're always wearing such a thick shell. If you weren't a phoenix girl, how could you possibly stand next to you? You don't have the looks or the figure." "How embarrassing," snorted Lei Hu. "TCH, are you jealous? Do you really think you can comprehend my charm?" said the skinny man. "We met by chance." However, Zhuge Hong suddenly spoke up. The skinny man's face instantly flushed red. Lei Hu roared with laughter. "You deserve it. You deserve it." The skinny man was just about to argue when he noticed the old dragon god. He hurriedly swallowed his words, then cupped his hands respectfully. "Senior dragon god. Senior dragon god." Zhuge Hong bowed. The old dragon god nodded calmly. The skinny man smiled at the dragon god, then retreated. He lowered his head and glared viciously at Lei Hu. "Senior dragon god is here, yet you didn't tell me in advance. I almost got screwed over by you." Senior dragon god isn't the sort to stick to trifles. Come, let me introduce you to someone. Yi Zichen, Emperor Yi, the reincarnation of the immortal region's Yellow Emperor." Lei Hu pointed at him, then turned to Yi Zichen, the current head of the Black Tortoise race, a country bumpkin. "You could just call him Old Turtle. Screw off. You're the country bumpkin." The skinny man pushed him away and laughed. "Emperor Yi, nice to meet you. I'm the head of the Black Tortoise race. 2BU. 2BU? Clan Head 2, hello, I'm Yi Zichen." When he heard the clan head's name, to tell the truth, he almost couldn't hold back his laughter. 2BU. What difference was there between him and a country bumpkin? Ha, brother Yi, if you want to laugh, go ahead and laugh. No one will ever say anything about you. I don't know what his family is thinking, but they've taken the word Old Turtle apart. Isn't that still a country bumpkin? Lei Hu laughed exaggeratedly. 2BU wanted to get angry, but in front of the dragon god, he had to watch his image. He had no choice but to change the subject. "Brother Yi, this is the head of the Vermilion Bird clan. We know each other." Zhuge Hong and Yi Zichen spoke at practically the same time. They looked at each other and smiled. Finally, Zhuge Hong said, "Emperor Yi, you were once a child who hadn't even succeeded in absorbing spiritual energy, but now you've become one of the 3 realms' incredible figures." "Annie Zhuge, you jest," said Yi Zichen, still using the same form of address he'd used in the modern realm. "Big brother Yi." Zhuge Kongming giggled. Yi Zichen reached out and patted him on the head. "Kongming, you've grown up too. Everyone should be done chatting by now, right? Shall we get down to business?" said the dragon god. In response, Lei Hu, 2BU, and Zhuge Hong each took a seat on either side of the hall. Their expressions were no longer relaxed, but solemn. Yi Zichen took it all in. These were the clan heads of the 4 sacred beast clans. A second ago, they were laughing and joking, but a second later, they were discussing matters of life and death. When it came to controlling their emotions, he was still a far cry from these peoples. Yi Zichen sighed inwardly, then realized just how serious the situation was. The 4 sacred beast clans were all gathered here. This was something that hadn't happened in the beast region in 10,000 years. However, now that the various patriarchs were sitting together, the problem that the old dragon god was going to talk about was quite serious. All right, then let's begin. Chapter 941. For symbols, formation 9-tailed, Fox Clan. At the very front was the head of the Fox Clan, Su Luer. After a few days of recuperation in the Dragon Clan, her injuries had mostly recovered. Dressed in a long blue dress, her face appeared particularly lonely, and her eyes were completely devoid of any emotion. Her appearance immediately attracted Lei Hu and 2BU's attention. The number 1 beauty of the Beast region was no mere boast. As a member of the Fox Clan, Su Luer's natural beauty was hard to conceal. Even though her face was as cold as ice and her aura was cold, ordinary people couldn't get close to her. Su Yin and Su Zhu were also behind him. Inshan was also mixed in with them. Su Luer nodded at the dragon god, then sat down beside Yi Zichen without being invited. As she sat down, Yi Zichen glanced at her, concerned. Coincidentally, she looked back at him and nodded at him. Looks like he's fine. Yi Zichen relaxed. It seemed like Su Lu had already walked out of the shadow of Yuan Hong's death. However, from her expression, it could be seen that she was trying to ease the pain in her heart. She had sealed her heart. Perhaps from now on, no one would ever walk in her heart again. As for Yuan Hong, he would forever be sealed in her heart, never to be forgotten. I came uninvited. I hope you don't mind. Su Luer clearly hadn't done it on purpose, but her words were piercingly cold. Since the Empress has come to visit, we will definitely welcome her. Lei Hu waved his hand and laughed. Beside him, Tubiu nodded repeatedly. Welcome, welcome. Thank you very much. In response, Su Luer simply nodded calmly. The old dragon god chuckled. There's no harm in the Fox Empress paying a visit. Since everyone is here, let's talk about the purpose of gathering everyone here. When that kid came to find me, he said that there were spies from the demon race in your dragon race, said Lei Hu. Yes. The old dragon god nodded. The former punishment elder of the dragon clan colluded with the demon race. He has already been executed. The expressions of the people in the hall couldn't help but change slightly. The dragon clan could be said to be the clan with the least number of clansmen among the 4 sacred clans. The devil clan was able to infiltrate the devil clan and find the devil clan's punishment elder. This method was indeed a little hard to believe. What bargaining chip did the dragon clan offer? Zhuge Hong asked. The female empress of the fox race was coincidentally there as well. The demon race's bargaining chip was the female empress of the fox race. Facing the female empress, that punishment elder could not control his heart. The empress, the saint race patriarchs all turned to look at her. As they looked at her, Lei Hu and Tu Biu couldn't help but lick their lips. They were the sacred race patriarchs, and their mental fortitude far exceeded that of ordinary people. But against the empress of the fox race, they were truly a little unsure. Foxes were naturally seductive. Even if they didn't cultivate in seduction techniques, their eyes were still extremely alluring. It was not an injustice for the former punishment elder of the dragon clan to be defeated by her. The demons are truly unscrupulous. They're using Big Sister Lu, as a bargaining chip. Aren't they just trying to get something for nothing? Snorted Yi Zichen. They're just painting a pie in the sky, but there really are people who will jump. The dragon god smiled calmly. For a spy to appear in the dragon race is a tragedy for us. Fortunately, none of the sacred race members present have been infiltrated yet. There's no need to worry. Senior dragon god, why are you so certain? If the demons can infiltrate the dragon race, they can easily infiltrate our clans as well. If they use the female empress as a gimmick, I'm sure there are clansmen who cannot abide by their hearts. Never mind the others, even he. If the demons used Su Lu as a gimmick, he wouldn't be able to resist falling into their trap. Beauty was a source of calamity, but since ancient times, there had always been those who couldn't resist touching it. The old dragon god chuckled as he sat on the throne. That punishment elder told me everything, and I believe what he said. When a man is on the verge of death, his words are kind. If he says there are no spies among your clans, then I believe him. That's all. Senior dragon god, this is a bit too hasty, said Lei Hu with a frown. Based on the words of a single traitor, this. What else can we do? Don't tell me you intend to return to your clans and investigate this matter. The old dragon god kicked the ball back to him and smiled faintly. Time. We don't have enough time to search. Even if there really are spies among your clans, there's nothing we can do right now. We can only wait for them to surface and then deal with them. It's already been half a month. The demons and blood zombies should have finished their preparations by now. If I'm not mistaken, in less than 3 days, the demons will launch a full-scale attack on the beast region. Everyone was apathetic. After a long silence, the dragon god said, In truth, the reason I've gathered you here is very simple. Actually, the reason I've gathered all of you here is very simple. I'm preparing to set up the 4 beast formation. The Four Beast Formation. In ancient times, the four sacred beast clans' world-protecting formation required each clan to send 6 pure-blooded clansmen to the four corners of the formation, pouring their own essence blood into the formation. Once the formation was complete, the 24 holy beasts would surely die. However, this formation could last for 100 years and was absolutely invincible. No one could force their way through it. According to legend, a God Realm saint had once descended to break the formation. In the end, he returned in defeat, his body riddled with wounds. Sacred bloodlines were precious to begin with, and pure-blooded ones were even rarer. The cost of setting up this formation was too great, and the time given was too short. The clans had practically forgotten about this formation. Now that the dragon god mentioned it again, the heads of the other 3 clans were visibly moved. "Senior Dragon God, are we really at that point?" asked Zhuge. "We still haven't fought the demons. We have to plan for the worst. If we really can't hold off the demons and blood zombies, and if we don't have the 4 beast formation ready, what should we do? But if we really lose, what can we do even if we manage to lay down the 4 beast formation for 100 years?" Lehu frowned. "That's right. If we really can't beat them now, even if we manage to lay down our last breaths for 100 years, the result will still be the same. Agreed to be you. We can find our clansmen, and I'm sure some are willing to sacrifice themselves for the 3 realms, but that kind of sacrifice is useless. Senior Dragon God, you should know just how strong a pure-blooded member of the Sacred Beast clan is. We're directly abandoning 24 experts capable of using their bloodlines. I don't think that's a good decision." "I second that," said Zhuge. 100 years is enough." The dragon god smiled calmly. Then his gaze fell on Yi Zichen. "Do you know why I called you here, but also why I had Emperor Yi sit here?" "I don't." Lehu and the others shook their heads. Chapter 942. Making a conclusion, the Emperor's Star. The ancient records of sacred beasts had records of it, and the clan heads had perused them as well. According to legend, the Emperor's Star was chosen by the heavens, capable of defying the heavens and changing fate. However, the previous Emperor's Star had manifested itself in the early stages of heaven splitting earth splitting. Since then, no other Emperor's Star had appeared. The dragon god had suddenly brought this up and specifically mentioned Emperor Yi. "I am the one who manifested the Emperor's Star." Sensing everyone's gazes, Yi Zichen nodded. "This Emperor Yi is actually the emperor chosen by the heavens?" Lehu's eyes widened. He rose to his feet and bowed deeply to Yi Zichen. "Earlier I was so rude to you. Please forgive me, Emperor Yi." Yi Zichen was speechless. When he noticed Lehu's subtle smile, he knew he was teasing him on purpose. He might as well go along with her words and snorted with a straight face. "Just wait for your death." Oh. Emperor Yi is going to sentence me to death. Do I have to run away now?" In just a few words, Lehu's humorous tone broke the oppressive atmosphere in the hall and helped Yi Zichen calm down a little. Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh in admiration at his ability to control the situation. The others laughed along with him, then saw Lehu return to his seat, his expression grave. "If Brother Yi is the Emperor's Star, then we can activate the 4 beast formation." "I agree." Tubiyu nodded. The Emperor's Star's miracles have long been described as legendary in the ancient records. Although they aren't necessarily true, the fact that they're described like that means they're legendary in some way. I look forward to the future Emperor Yi will bring us. According to the ancient records, the Emperor's Star has 4 auxiliary stars by his side. I wonder. Zhuge frowned. The Martial Star. The Minister of the Left. Su Lu'er and Yinshang spoke up practically simultaneously. The Fated Star. Su Yin spoke up as well. Emperor Yi and the Empress's clan really are connected by fate. The 2 auxiliary stars actually appeared in the Fox clan at the same time. The Fated Star also appeared in the Fox clan. It seems the 9-tailed Fox clan is going to become the #1 clan in the Beast region. The Dragon clan's position will be in jeopardy. Lehu subconsciously thought the person sitting there was Old Man Xiahua. However, as soon as the words left his mouth, he hastily covered it with his hand. Senior Dragon God was the one presiding over this. What the hell did he say just now? Who's the number one clan in the Beast region? That's just an empty title. The Fox clan was originally a peak clan, so it's not surprising that they became the number one clan. However, the taciturn Suluer snorted, "Don't worry, I'm not going to let you off the hook. Our Fox clan doesn't care about that. I just want to see the extermination of the Demon clan." His chilling tone caused the hearts of everyone in the hall to tremble. Soon after, they recalled Yuan Hong's death. It seemed that he had died in the previous battle. Su Luer and Yuan Hong's relationship had long since become a secret of the Beast region, although the two of them were still unmarried. In the eyes of outsiders, they were already a beautiful couple. Ahem, Empress, I hope you won't vent your anger on my White Tiger clan. If my clansmen hadn't returned, I wouldn't have known that you'd sent a distress signal. We never received it either. Zhuge Hong nodded. Clearly, she, too, hadn't received the signal. The dragon god looked at Yi Zichen and smiled, as if to say, "Look, it's not just our dragon clan who didn't receive the signal. The other clans didn't receive it either." As soon as Zichen learned that a spy had appeared among the dragon clan, he was convinced that they hadn't received the signal. If nothing unexpected happened, it was definitely Gu Li or the demons doing. It was just like how the Three Realms reinforcements had failed. It seemed that Gu Li and the demons wanted to eat them up and weaken their own forces. "There's no need to say all that now," said Su Luer, her expression unchanged. Su Luer's expression didn't change in the slightest. The dead are already dead. So what if you say you didn't receive any reinforcements? There's no way to change history. I came here uninvited to listen to your plan. All I want is for the demons and zombies to go extinct. "The demons and zombies naturally have to be killed," said the dragon god with a smile. At this moment, the old dragon deity smiled and said, "However, I might disappoint the Empress. This time, I invited the people from the Divine Clan to discuss the Four Beast formation. Then farewell." Su Luer didn't hesitate. She rose from her chair and left the hall. Su Yan and Su Zhu hadn't expected her to react so strongly. They nodded at Yi Zichen, then followed her out. "Since we're discussing the Four Beast formation, there's no point in me staying. Farewell." Yi Zichen didn't hesitate. He cupped his hands respectfully at the others, then left. Yuan Hong's death was too much of a blow to you. After a while, Lei Hu couldn't help but sigh. The great sage of Mount Huawood disappeared during the battle. Right now, the six-eared king is in charge of the clan. Isn't that all because of the demons? A sinister light flashed through Tu Biyu's eyes. "Everyone, let's not talk about anything else. Our time is limited. Since you all agree that the four-beast formation can be activated, go back to your clans and choose suitable candidates. During this time, don't forget to teach them how to use the formation. You should know that we don't have much time." The old dragon god interrupted them. Everyone's expressions turned cold when they heard his words. "We can indeed find suitable candidates, but Senior Dragon God, your clan..." Everyone knew that the dragon race had very few clansmen. All in all, they numbered no more than 100. Making the dragon clan send out 8 people was a huge blow to the dragon clan. "I'll take care of that. So long as you're fine, our dragon race will be fine. Since that's the case, we'll definitely bring the candidates to the dragon race within 3 days. Senior Dragon God, farewell. Farewell." Thud, thud, thud. Big Sister Luer, wait a moment. Su Luer left the hall and, without hesitation, prepared to return to the Fox Yao clan. Yi Zichen caught up to her. Su Luer and the others stopped in their tracks. "Why aren't you in the hall?" "I can't lay down the four-beast formation." "Why would I stay?" laughed Yi Zichen. "Big Sister Lu, are you going back to the Fox clan?" "The Fox clan can't go without a leader," said Su Luer succinctly. "Then, take care, Big Sister Luer." After a moment's hesitation, Yi Zichen smiled and nodded at them. Su Luer nodded back. As she turned to leave, she paused but didn't turn around. "Many thanks for earlier." Yi Zichen froze in place for a long time. He'd known Su Luer for so long, but this was the first time he'd heard her say thank you. However, by the time he came to his senses, Su Luer and the others had already disappeared from his line of sight. Su Luer's lips curled into a smile. It seemed that she'd truly recovered from her emotional breakdown. She'd lost Yuan Hong, but she still had her clan and her sisters. Yi Zichen looked up at the bright moon in the sky and narrowed his eyes. Gu Li of the Demon Race. Chapter 943. Who did it? Hurry up. Lord Black Dragon spared your lives out of benevolence. But now that you've fallen in my hands, I won't be so benevolent. If you want to live, then work obediently. If anyone dares to slack off, I'll whip him to death. A demon wielding a long whip stepped on the back of a human, waving the whip in his hand nonstop. The people in front of him were all dressed in tattered clothes. Most of them were people from the immortal region who hadn't retreated in time and had been captured by the demons. After being sealed by the experts of the devil race, they became slaves under their hands. Bang! At that moment, someone's legs suddenly went soft, and he fell to the ground. They weren't ordinary people, but they hadn't closed their eyes for half a month. No one could guarantee how long they could endure this kind of high-intensity work. The surrounding people all rushed over to help them up, but at that moment, a barbed whip viciously lashed them. Smack! This whip could be said to have split open their flesh. Those who went to help them all moved aside. The demon race supervisor also walked over, stretched out his leg, and kicked the man who had fallen to the ground. Stop playing dead. Hurry up and get to work. However, the person lying on the ground was still a bit dazed. He didn't want to be whipped, so he struggled to get up, but he didn't have the strength. Playing dead, huh? Then this daddy will send you to your death. Smack! The whip lashed down without any hesitation, hitting the face and body of the person on the ground. In the blink of an eye, that person was already badly mutilated by the demon clan supervisor. When the others saw this, they all kept quiet out of fear. Only when the supervisor had whipped that person to death did he turn around and look coldly at the other slaves. What are you looking at? Get to work. The slaves all shrunk their necks and turned around. At that moment, someone in the crowd suddenly threw the heavy wooden plank on his body to the ground. This daddy won't do it anymore. It's been so long, and you still haven't tamed me. If the other brothers see this, won't they laugh at me? As soon as he finished speaking, he lashed out with his whip. The person who threw the plank had his eyes bloodshot. This daddy will fight it out with you. Humph. The demon supervisor merely smiled faintly. He didn't even bother to use the whip. Instead, he reached out and grabbed the man's head, forcefully pulling it off. The head was separated from the body, and the head of the person who wanted to revolt was casually thrown into the pile of slaves by the demon race supervisor. If anyone still doesn't want to work, you can say it. No one dared to respond. The moment the rebel's head was thrown over, the flames of resistance in their hearts were extinguished. TSK, 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 this is too bloody. Up in the sky, Gu Li watched as the supervisor ripped the man's head off. He couldn't help but click his tongue. Beside him, Black Dragon simply crossed his arms and watched everything unfold with indifference. Why have you come to me? Lord Black Dragon, you're truly forgetful. When Gu Li heard that, he looked away and smiled calmly. Don't tell me you've forgotten our agreement to work together against the three realms? So anxious? Black Dragon raised his eyebrows. Hurry, Lord Black Dragon. It's been more than half a month. Don't tell me you're satisfied with just seizing this tiny piece of land? Gu Li arched his brows in astonishment. His tone was playful. It's just a few cities and a few slaves. Do you really think that's enough to erase all of your lofty ambitions? I don't need you to lecture me. Black Dragon's expression darkened. Then he snorted coldly. The Beast region isn't as easy to break through as the outer immortal region. They've long since established an impregnable fortress. Besides, they know we'll definitely fight our way in. Do you really think they'll just let us in without any defenses? Of course not. Then do you want your people to scout the way in, or mine? Asked Black Dragon coldly. This was a problem that affected both sides' interests. The Beast region was absolutely riddled with traps and traps. Whoever went to step into this mine would definitely suffer a heavy loss of manpower. They were allies, but they were also enemies. Neither side was willing to let their own forces suffer losses. It seems you haven't lost yourself in the power of this tiny place. You have your own ideas, after all. Gu Li, on the other hand, wasn't annoyed by the question. Instead, he laughed and said, "Of course we'd be at a disadvantage if we sent our own people, but I already had a plan. There's no need for anyone to do it. We'll just have the Beast Region's people help us clear the area." "You have that kind of trick up your sleeve?" snorted Black Dragon. "Then why do you think I haven't come looking for you in so long? I know full well that you disdain such petty tricks, so I'll have to do it myself. After all, I'm just a nobody. You really have some tricks up your sleeve. You even managed to plant people in the Beast Region. I presume you have quite a few of them in the demon race as well." As soon as he finished speaking, Black Dragon's expression darkened. His piercing gaze seemed to pierce right through Gu Li's soul. Gu Li's expression stiffened. Then he laughed. "Your Excellency Black Dragon, you really know how to joke. Lord Black Dragon, you really know how to joke. You've managed this place for tens of thousands of years. If I wanted to infiltrate it, I need an opportunity, wouldn't I? The 12 demon sovereigns were all your gullibility. As for the ordinary demons, even if I tried, it wouldn't work, right?" "Humph." Black Dragon snorted non-committally, then said, "Since you put it that way, it means you have people in the Beast Region. Naturally, everything will be easy. The demon race's elites have been accumulating power, waiting to attack. So long as you can make the lightning disappear, we'll attack as soon as possible. Then, it's a deal. Embark, Senior Dragon God, these are the people we've chosen. Lehu, Tubiyu, and Zhugahong appeared in the dragon race's great hall. 6 people followed behind them. Some were old, some were in their prime, and some were young. Their faces showed that they were not afraid of death. It was obvious that these patriarchs had done a lot of brainstorming with them before they came. "Senior Dragon God, your dragon race. Come in." As his voice faded, 6 people walked in from outside the great hall. However, the clan heads were astonished to see that Xia Ingqiu, Xia Ingda, and even Xia Kiki were among them. "Senior Dragon God," Lehu was shaken. Choosing all of these people would not be as simple as hurting his muscles and bones. They'd be destroying the entire dragon race. "What is it? Is there a problem?" The dragon god furrowed his brows. He didn't want to let these people in, but the dragon race had truly declined. Only the 6 of them possessed the pure bloodline of the golden dragon. "No." As if sensing the old dragon god's resentment, Lehu swallowed the words he was about to say. At that moment, however, Xiahua, the head of the dragon race, hurriedly rushed in. "Senior Dragon God, our Beast Region's spiritual formation was destroyed from the inside." Chapter 944. The Soaring Serpent's Rebellion. The main reason the Beast Region could survive in the cracks between the Heavenly Court, the Underworld, and the Immortal Region was because of an ancient spiritual formation within their territory. At the beginning of the 3 realms, the 4 sacred beast clan heads had exhausted all their energy to set up this formation, all for the sake of protecting the Beast Region's myriad clans. So long as the formation was activated, the 4 sacred beast clans could alter the effects of the formation, or make them fall into a bewildering formation and return in defeat, or make them fall directly into a killing formation and slaughter the invaders. It was fair to say that the formation's existence was a great bargaining chip in their fight against the demons. Who? Just who is it? Lehu, who had a fiery temper, was so enraged that bolts of lightning began to appear around his body. The existence of this spiritual array was simply too important to them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so furious. Everyone's gazes landed on Xiahua, but when he saw Xia Ingqiu, Xia Kiki, and Xia Ingqiu, he froze. His heart ached. He knew the 6 of them were the eyes of the 4-beast formation. The dragon clan had declined. Of all the surviving dragons, only the 6 of them carried the bloodline of the Golden Dragon clan. He wasn't. If he were, he wouldn't have allowed his precious granddaughter to participate. In the eyes of the other clans, his heart ached. "Xiahua," roared Lehu. He waited for Xiahua to explain the situation, but the old man remained silent. What is it?" Lehu's shout pulled the clan head back to his senses. When Lehu heard his response, his eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. "I'm the one who should be asking you what is it. You just said the Beast Region's spiritual formation was destroyed? Just what formation was destroyed?" "All of it," said Xiahua. All of it?" 2Bu stuttered. Zhuge Hong furrowed her brows. How is that possible? Xiaohua, don't speak irresponsibly. Even the formations we set up afterward were destroyed from the inside. How is that possible? I personally set up the 37 killing formations outside. When it comes to formations, there's no one in the beast region better than me. Even the spirit formation left by the sacred ancestor could be broken by them, let alone your clan leader Zhuge. Besides, they're trying to break the formation from the inside. As long as they're slightly familiar with the layout of the spirit array, wouldn't it be easy to break it? He narrowed his eyes at Xiaohua and said, Don't worry, Xiaohua. Now I just want to know who did it. Who did it? Soaring Serpent. Xiaohua sighed. It was probably the Flying Serpent clan who broke it. After the formation broke, I used my spiritual awareness to scan the entire beast region. The Flying Serpent clan is no longer in their territory. They may still have defected to the devil race. What? It must be that old poisonous snakes tribe. Lei Hu's tiger-like eyes were perfectly round, flickering with tangible electricity. His white hair also flickered with electricity, and the muscles on his face twitched uncontrollably. I should have electrocuted him back then. I knew that old viper wasn't a good person. It really might be him, said Zhuge Hong, frowning. Their tribe also knows a few Qimendun Jia techniques. It makes sense that they were able to break my killing formation. Furthermore, when the sacred ancestor left the formation, the Flying Serpent clan knew how to use it. Bang! Lei Hu stomped his foot, causing the floor of the room to crack. Lightning surged out of his body, disappearing along the ground beneath his feet. He clenched his teeth and clenched his fists. 10,000 years ago, I said the Flying Serpent clan couldn't be allowed to live. You all stopped me. Back then, you had a personal grudge with the Flying Serpent clan. Besides, if the Flying Serpent clan was one of the 8 divine beast clans, how could we possibly let you exterminate them? Great, snorted Xiaohua. He's gone with the demons, and on his way out, he even broke our formation, snorted Lei Hu. You might care about your old friendship with the 8 divine beast clans, but that old viper doesn't. That's a different matter, snorted Xiaohua. All of you, stop arguing. Sit down. Zhuge Hong walked between Lei Hu and Xiaohua and separated them. Lei Hu glared at Xiaohua, then sat down on a chair. Don't argue, and I don't want to argue, but that's the truth. Back then, the Flying Serpent clan fought with my White Tiger clan. What I wanted to deal with was that old bastard Xiaohua blocking my way. He even said he believed in the Flying Serpent clan and the friendship between the 8 divine beast clans. Don't spout such nonsense. Do you know why I attacked that old viper? He was already showing signs of cooperating with the demons. Enough. Zhuge Hong glared at Lei Hu. Now that things have reached this point, there's no point in arguing. Will the Flying Serpent clan be exterminated? Will the formation be restored? Lei Hu's lips quivered, but in the end, he said nothing. Right now, we need to confirm the situation. Zhuge Hong frowned at the 2 angry fellows. Xiaohua, what's the situation with the formation? The formation can't be restored. You should know what the sacred ancestor is capable of. As for the 108 killing formations, illusory formations, entrapment formations, and bewildering formations, most of them have been destroyed. However, the damage isn't particularly serious. Given enough time, we can still repair the insides. But I'm afraid they won't give us time at all, snorted Lei Hu. That old viper, the Flying Serpent, will definitely send word to the demons that the beast region's lightning has been cleared. You should hurry up and bring your armies to bear down on our borders. Lei Hu, will it kill you to speak a little less? Zhuge Hong frowned. But Lei Hu is telling the truth, sighed 2Bu. If the Flying Serpent clan hadn't left, it would have been fine. But since they've already left the beast region, they must have gone to send word. So long as the demons aren't stupid, they'll definitely take advantage of this opportunity to attack. When that happens, we'll have our gates wide open. They won't have to worry about anything, and we'll march straight into our heart. Humph. Lei Hu couldn't help but snort again. All right, stop snorting. I made a mistake back then, all right? Xiaohua rolled his eyes at Lei Hu. If you have the time to sulk, why don't you think about how to solve this? How else can we solve this? Fight, said Lei Hu, glaring at him. Our grand formation is gone. and so are our spiritual formations. We just have to fight our way in. Are we supposed to just wait here and let them fight their way to our doorstep without suffering any losses? Are we supposed to defend? If we seize the initiative, we'll win half the battle. While they haven't attacked, let's hurry up and gather our men to fight our way out. Senior Dragon God, what do you think? Xiaohua's gaze fell on the Dragon God. The Dragon God chuckled. Fighting is one way, of course, but not the best plan. Then what do you think we should do? Chapter 945. Dispelling Confusion Outside Maple City. The sky above the city was filled with a dense mass of shadows. Black Dragon stood at the very front, clad in red battle robes and wielding a huge sword. He stood majestically at the very front. Why don't I see your men? Black Dragon glanced at Gu Li from the corner of his eye. A strand of spiritual energy enveloped his body. Gu Li's aura was too sinister. Black Dragon really didn't like standing next to someone like that. It's not like you haven't seen my subordinates before. They don't need troops like your subordinates, said Gu Li with narrowed eyes. Gu Li narrowed his eyes and smiled, but there was something sinister about his smile. Black Dragon spoke as the spiritual energy hidden around his body slowly flowed. Then the lightning you mentioned. Your Excellency Black Dragon, there's no need to rush. It won't be long before the results are out, said Gu Li, still smiling. Then I'll wait and see. Black Dragon smiled calmly, but inwardly, he snorted disdainfully at Gu Li's smiling face, especially since he really wanted to kill Gu Li right here and now. However, the three realms had yet to be restored. Even if he felt disgusted, he had to endure and continue working with Gu Li. Of course, he didn't think that working with Gu Li was like asking a tiger for its skin. In his eyes, even if Gu Li had extraordinary abilities, Gu Li was still not on the same level as him. So long as he purged the three realms of his enemies, it would be time to settle the score with Gu Li. He'd never forgotten the day he'd taken over Gu Li's nest. As if sensing Black Dragon's hostility, Gu Li simply smiled at him. Right, why don't I see Brother Su? Gu Li scanned the demon army a few times, but didn't see Su Yun anywhere. So he asked, Brother Su isn't feeling well, so I had him stay in the city to rest. What? Do I need to report this to you? Your Excellency Black Dragon, your words are too hurtful. Brother Su and I are both from a modern realm. After all, you can at least show some concern, right? Gu Li's expression was that of an unscrupulous nobody. In particular, his eyes, smile, and body movements made him look like the kind of lackeys you often saw on TV, running errands for their bosses. Black Dragon could be considered a formidable character of his generation. He really disdained to be associated with such a person. Disdain involuntarily appeared on his face as he snorted and laughed. But you and Emperor Yi are both from the modern realm. Why don't you care about him? Emperor Yi and I don't walk the same path. He's the Yellow Emperor, and I'm Qi Yu. Don't you know that, Your Excellency Black Dragon? At the mention of Yi Zichen, Gu Li's expression instantly darkened. Black Dragon glanced at him indifferently, then ignored him. Gu Li, on the other hand, glanced discreetly at the demons behind him. His lips curved into a smile. In the end, his plan to sow discord had worked. Black Dragon no longer trusted Su Yun. Report. Right at this moment, a demon scout ran over from afar. When he was about 10 meters away from the Black Dragon, he stopped, knelt on one knee, and pointed behind him. Your Excellency, Black Dragon, the entire Flying Serpent clan has left the Beast region. Soaring Serpent? Black Dragon raised his eyebrows. Soon after, he opened his mouth and said, Ignore them. Let them come out. Yes, sir. The scout left. Black Dragon was silent for a moment, then turned to look at Gu Li. So, this is the little trick you mentioned earlier? The 8 divine beasts, the Flying Serpent clan, went all out for the sake of traversing lightning. This is no simple trick. Gu Li wasn't surprised that Black Dragon had guessed this. He simply smiled, narrowed his eyes, and said, It's all right. It's all right. As long as there's enough bargaining chips, even the 8 divine beasts aren't completely united. Then can you tell me what you used to get them to defect to your side? Although he didn't dare compliment Gu Li's character, he was still rather curious about how he'd managed to get the Flying Serpent clan to defect to his side. 10,000 years ago, Black Dragon had been eyeing the three realms covetously. Back then, he'd tried to get the flying serpents to ally with him. He'd offered them a tempting offer, but in the end, he'd failed. Black Dragon, you're actually interested in that? That's right, Your Excellency. Black Dragon extended an olive branch to the Flying Serpent clan, but in the end, he returned empty-handed, chuckled Gu Li. You even know that? Of course. The head of the Flying Serpent clan told me quite a bit. Back then, Your Excellency Black Dragon offered to give him the entire beast region, but he flatly refused. Black Dragon's hand trembled as he gripped his sword. His smile froze for a moment. Then he collected his thoughts, smiled, and said, "It seems you've told me quite a bit. In that case, you should have told me why you refused, right?" "I did." The head of the Flying Serpent clan refused for a very simple reason. He said the pie you offered him was too big. He was afraid he wouldn't be able to eat it all. That's it. When he'd returned empty-handed to the demons, he'd looked down on the Flying Serpent clan for having too big an appetite. They'd offered him the entire beast region, but he'd flatly refused. Only now did Gu Li tell him that it wasn't that his appetite was too big, it was that it was too small. The bigger the pie you offered, the better. Some people bite off more than they can chew. To them, a large pie is naturally the best medicine. However, Your Excellency Black Dragon, you didn't get to know the head of the Flying Serpent clan. He's naturally timid and paranoid. If you offer him too much, he'd suspect something fishy was going on. Gu Li answered Black Dragon's questions with fervor and assurance. Black Dragon inwardly nodded in response. At the time, he really hadn't analyzed things that deeply. All he knew was that the head of the Flying Serpent clan didn't have a particularly harmonious relationship with the other clans of the 8 divine beasts. That was why he'd chosen the Flying Serpent clan as his breakthrough point. As for the rest, he hadn't given it much thought. Then what did you offer him? The head of the Flying Serpent clan's son was killed by the head of the White Tiger clan. Gu Li didn't give a direct answer, but that was enough for Black Dragon to understand exactly what he'd offered. So that's how it is. I've learned my lesson. Black Dragon nodded at Gu Li. He really did admire Gu Li's ability to manipulate people. He'd convinced the Flying Serpent clan to betray the Beast region, and even convinced the zombie progenitors to work for him. He thought back to when Gu Li had first come to the demon realm. Back then, Black Dragon had allowed him to live among the demons because he was Chiyo's reincarnation. However, it had only been 2 years, and the child from back then had already grown to the point where he could contend with him as an equal. Although Black Dragon didn't want to admit this, he still had to admire him. Chapter 946. Attack. Before he'd even finished speaking, Gu Li saw a majestic army marching towards them. This group was none other than the Flying Serpent clan, who'd betrayed the Beast region. At the very front was a middle-aged man with a hooked nose, sunken eyes, and prominent cheekbones. Even from a distance, you could sense his sinister aura. The group of clansmen behind him were no less impressive. Anyone could tell that they were a group of poisonous snakes. Clan head Tung Yin. When he saw the newcomers, Gu Li smiled and walked up to them. He smiled and nodded at the man warmly. The middle-aged man nodded back calmly. Then his gaze landed on Black Dragon. I never would have guessed that brother Gu Li and Black Dragon were on the same side. What a coincidence. Tung Yin's voice was hoarse, especially when he spoke, revealing 2 sharp fangs. You absolutely couldn't underestimate those fangs. They contained a deadly poison that even immortal kings would have to avoid. Clan head Tung Yin, please don't take offense. I was pressed for time, so I didn't bring up the topic of allies, said Gu Li with an apologetic smile. Then he arched his brows. But that's no big deal. After all, you and Black Dragon are old acquaintances. Don't you agree? Brother Tung Yin, long time no see, said Black Dragon as he walked over and cupped his fists. It has indeed been a while, nodded Tung Yin calmly. Tung Yin nodded indifferently. Black Dragon spoke again. Back then, I personally went to brother Tung Yin's clan and begged brother Tung Yin to become my ally. However, brother Tung Yin flatly refused. I never would have guessed that 10,000 years later, we'd still be allies. You can't blame me for that. The price you offered was far too high. I can't rest easy with the entire beast region, replied Tung Yin. Besides, it was our first time meeting back then. You said you were a demon, but how could I believe you? Who knows if those old geezers sent you out to test me? Better safe than sorry. My Flying Serpent clan and those guys aren't on good terms. If we're not careful, we'll be in big trouble. Brother Tingyin, you're right. I was too rude back then, laughed Black Dragon. That's enough, laughed Tingyin. Let's not dwell on such old matters. Regardless of the outcome back then, aren't we allies now? Since our goals are the same, let's get down to business. Guli took the opportunity to change the topic. Clan member of the Hidden Tongue clan, did you encounter any trouble on your way out? We didn't run into any trouble. Right now, the entire Beast region is busy figuring out how to deal with you. They don't have the time to worry about a tiny clan like mine, said Yizichin. Tingyin snorted with a faint smile. However, before I left, I destroyed the grand formation left behind by the 4 sacred ancestors. I also destroyed the spirit formation they set up. They should have sensed it by now and are probably gnashing their teeth in hatred, especially Leihu. At the mention of Leihu, the Flying Serpent clan's leader's pitch-black pupils suddenly turned into 2. His pupils were filled with a sinister glint. The soaring serpent was indeed a cold-blooded animal, but the one who died was his own son, his only bloodline. How could he not hate Leihu? If he had to blame someone, he could only blame the fact that his clan was far weaker than the Sacred White Tigers. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed hidden in the Beast region for 10,000 years after losing his son. Clan head Tingyin, you actually destroyed the spirit formation? That's wonderful news. Laughed Guli. Don't say such useless things. Even with the help of a colossal demon race, you still managed to find me. I'm not someone without self-awareness. The Flying Serpent clan is only one of the 8 great divine beasts in name only. In reality, they can't even compare to the 9-tailed fox clan. Didn't you come looking for me, so that when you left, I could help you traverse the mines? Tingyin snorted. Although his intentions had been laid bare, Guli's expression didn't change at all. Clan head Tingyin, you really are a wise man. If I didn't even have that much self-awareness, how could I even talk about revenge? Snorted Tingyin hoarsely, then pointed at the clansmen behind him. Let me make this clear. You need to make arrangements for my clansmen properly. They won't follow you into the Beast region, and I won't follow you either. My only target is Leihu. Of course. Brother Tingyin, go ahead and do whatever you want. We won't hold you back. Guli nodded noncommittally. He'd come looking for Tingyin to help him traverse the mines. He'd already achieved his goal. He couldn't be bothered to care about what Tingyin wanted. As for your clan head's arrangements, Guli hesitated for a moment, then looked at Black Dragon. Your Excellency Black Dragon, there's a mountain range outside Pool City. The environment there is similar to that of the Beast region. It's not facing the sun, so it's very suitable for the Flying Serpent clan to live. With that, he beckoned his subordinates over. You lot, take your Flying Serpent clan brothers to the mountain range outside Pool City. Understood. The subordinates walked up to the Flying Serpent clansmen and led them away. Once they were gone, Guli spoke up. Brother Tingyin, now that your clansmen have a place to stay, can we? I'm just a lone wolf. Why are you asking me? Besides, I'm not on your side. As for what you want to do, that's up to you. Tingyin laughed sinisterly, then walked off into the distance. Guli watched him leave, his eyes flashing with an obscure, fierce light. Then his gaze fell on Black Dragon. Black Dragon didn't hesitate. He raised his great sword high into the air and roared. Everyone, listen up. All troops, listen up. Attack the Beast region. The Beast region's great formation had been broken. The Flying Serpent clan had betrayed the Beast region. When the other clans heard this news, they were all on tenterhooks. The clans closest to the Beast region's entrance were already discussing how to evacuate. Quite a few clans were prepared to fight the demons to the bitter end. In the end, the Beast region's clans were all on the move. The heads of the 4 sacred beast clans were all seated within the dragon race's great hall. They were in the middle of a heated discussion about how to deal with the demons. Thud, thud, thud. Yizichin walked into the great hall. When he heard the news, he was shocked as well. However, he didn't panic. Instead, He analyzed the situation briefly and came to a conclusion. He agreed with the dragon god. Wait, going out to meet the enemy was naturally one way, but that kind of battle was too straightforward. If they fought the demons, especially with Gu Li's blood zombies, they have to play normal. The best outcome would be for both sides to suffer heavy losses. But if they open the gates wide and let them in... Emperor Yi, how did it go? When he saw Yi Zichen, Tu Bu rose to his feet. Yi Zichen simply waved his phone at him and smiled. Chapter 947. Before the battle, Pejuan. The old man with fur on his arms threw the machete in his hand to the ground. Violent Yao's spiritual power gathered in his fist. At the same time, his eyes bloodshot, he threw all caution to the wind and swung his fist at Black Dragon. His fist seemed capable of shattering mountains and rivers, but bang! However, Black Dragon didn't move in the slightest. Just as his fist was about to land, the demon sovereign had already punched a hole through Black Dragon's chest. The eyes of the old man in beast skin clothes dimmed. He stared unwillingly at Black Dragon, who was only half a meter away from him. His heart was filled with despair and reluctance to part with the world, but he still lay in a pool of blood. Around him lay the corpses of several dozen giant Yao, staining the ground crimson. You really overestimate yourself. How dare you attack Your Excellency Black Dragon? The demon Venerable, who was standing in front of the Black Dragon, snorted coldly. He kicked the man away and retreated behind the Black Dragon. Whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, several figures descended. Most of them were covered in blood, but none of it belonged to them. Your Excellency Black Dragon, we've purged all Yao within a 5-kilometer radius. You're dismissed. Black Dragon nodded calmly. However, despite his victory, he didn't seem happy at all. On the contrary, his expression was frighteningly grave. They'd already been in the Beast region for half a day, but they'd only seen a few scattered groups of Yao. It was as if they'd been abandoned by the Beast region. They'd never even considered fleeing. No matter how strong they were, they'd brazenly attacked them and ended up dead. Why hadn't the 4 sacred beast clans appeared? Did they not know about their invasion? That couldn't be. Black Dragon was certain that the people of the Beast region knew what they were doing, yet they still hadn't sent any troops to resist. Could it be that they'd let his people in on purpose? Were they heading straight for the heart of the Beast region? Your Excellency Black Dragon, what are you thinking about? When Guli saw that Black Dragon hadn't moved, he walked over to the side and asked, "What's wrong with you? You can't be mourning for those Yao, are you?" Don't you think it's weird?" Black Dragon came to his senses and snorted coldly. He frowned. "We've already been in the Beast region for half a day, but aside from a few clans fighting us at the start, we haven't seen a single trace of Yao. I've been to the Beast region a few times before. There are at least 100 clans in the Beast region's outskirts." When he saw Gu Li's solemn expression, he nodded in understanding. Lord Black Dragon is worried that there's a trap here. Black Dragon didn't deny it. He wouldn't believe that the Beast region didn't have any plans. The clans outside had clearly been notified to evacuate in advance. Those who stayed behind were all old demonic beasts. Even if they could survive, they probably wouldn't be able to live for long. These people obviously didn't want to leave their homes, so they might as well just throw caution to the wind. Guli narrowed his eyes at the sky, peeking through the gaps between the leaves of the towering ancient trees, and smiled. The gate is wide open and unguarded. They want us to march straight into the heart of the Beast region's territory. But I can't think of any benefits for them to do this. Could it be that they want to make dumplings for us? Done. When they saw Yi Zichen smile, the heads of the 4 sacred beast clans sighed in relief. That's good. As long as the demons dare enter our hinterlands, the reinforcements from the heavenly court, underworld, and immortal region will surround them from behind. We'll let them feel what it's like to be surrounded by dumplings. Lehu smiled viciously. This was what Yi Zichen and the Dragon God had been thinking about when they'd mentioned waiting. As long as the demons dared to enter, the reinforcements of the 3 realms would surround them from the rear. At that time, the demons would be in a dilemma. Don't be too optimistic. The demons and blood zombies are definitely troublesome opponents. Moreover, No one knows when the reinforcements will arrive. Before that, we have to take all the necessary defensive measures. The old patriarch, Xiahua, spoke. The 4B's formation is still in the running-in period. It can be said that the door is wide open for them to go straight to the hinterland. If we don't defend this place, we won't have any way out. I've already sent my clan's elites to set up spiritual formations. I don't know how many we'll be able to set up before the demons attack. Zhuge Hong pursed her lips and furrowed her brows. Right, family Hedzwa, aren't you researching gunpowder with the dragon race? I've experienced the power of gunpowder before. Below the sky immortal level, there's practically no way to resist it. If there's enough gunpowder, it'll be enough for us to break through. The Black Tortoise clan head, 2BU, spoke up. Gunpowder was new to him, so he'd gone to take a look. He'd personally witnessed the explosive power of gunpowder, as well as its range. All of this left him gasping in amazement. He clicked his tongue in wonder at the human race's wits. Thanks to the factories working overtime, we have at least 300,000 pieces of gunpowder. That's definitely more than enough for the demons and blood zombies to eat. At that moment, Mo walked into the main hall. She hadn't slept for days in order to speed up the production of explosives. Her exquisite face had lost its former luster, and her expression was one of exhaustion. When she walked in, the pungent smell of saltpeter assaulted her senses. Family Hedzwa. The other Sacred Beast clan heads cupped their hands in greeting. Mo returned the greeting. I was just about to come over to talk to you about this. We've already stopped production of gunpowder. Whether it's time, raw materials, or the mental state of our workers, none of them allow us to continue. 300,000 is the final number of explosives we have. I've already sent people to transport the gunpowder to various ambush points. All we have to do is wait for the demons to arrive. They couldn't produce more. This was absolutely not good news for the Beast region. However, Yi Zichen nodded in satisfaction. That's enough. Most of the demons and blood zombies are sky immortal level. 300,000 pieces of explosives is more than enough to deal them a heavy blow. When the time comes, we'll deal with the remaining survivors. That's already very advantageous for us. We can't be too greedy. Do you really want to use explosives to get rid of them all? If so, what's the point of discussing this so urgently? Can't we just sit back and watch the show? Brother Ye's words make sense, said Lei Hu. Besides, no matter how many explosives we have, they won't have much effect on those truly powerful experts. In the end, we'll have to do it ourselves. That's right. Right. As for detonating the gunpowder, we'll leave it to Family Head Lei and Family Head Zhuge's clansmen. Detonating explosives required fire as a guide. White tigers were lightning attributed. Lightning strikes could produce fire. As for the Vermilion Bird clan, their bodies were covered in flames. Even the weakest of their clansmen could toss out a small fireball. No problem. Leave it to us. Lei Hu and Zhuge Hong nodded. Xiaohuan nodded repeatedly as well. Chapter 948. Unexpected events, auspicious clouds soared into the sky. Neza, the god of thunder, and Heavenly King Li led nearly 200,000 heavenly soldiers to the Valley of Death, 800 kilometers outside the immortal region. An hour ago, they'd received Yi Zichen's message. After a brief discussion, they reported it to the North Pole Emperor and set out without any resistance. The Count of Wind and Lord of Rain were among them. They'd led tens of thousands of heavenly soldiers to reinforce the demons. It was fair to say that the Heavenly Court had sent out practically all of their troops in order to deal the demons a fatal blow. We're finally in the immortal region. God of Thunder couldn't help but sigh in relief. When they first arrived, it was like walking through a maze. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find their way out. This time, he'd asked Yu Lao for a treasure called a compass. He wanted to use it if he ever got lost again. But this time it was strange. The maze had disappeared. They'd stopped here to meet up with the underworld and immortal region. No one dared to underestimate the demons and blood zombies. Even though the Heavenly Court had hundreds of thousands of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, they didn't dare rashly cut off their retreat. Hey, what do you think the underworld and immortal region are doing? This place is the closest to them, yet they made us wait here. Aren't they going a bit too far? When they get here, we'll definitely teach them a lesson. And then we have to. God of Thunder chattered away like a chatterbox, but no matter what he said, no one replied. He had no choice but to answer his own questions. He suddenly missed Yang Jian. If he were here, he'd definitely be the one to complain. Did the underworld run into another maze? The underworld and heavenly court were both in Yi Zichen's red packet group, so they could exchange information. After the heavenly court retreated in defeat, they contacted the underworld. They'd experienced the same thing. Only then did Heavenly King Li's expression shift. God of Thunder spoke up. Should we go and welcome them? No. At that moment, the Count of Wind rejected God of Thunder's suggestion. We agreed to meet here. It's best if we don't wander off. If we leave, they will come. They didn't see us here. What if they think that we've encountered a maze? That was true, but Thunder God didn't like Count of the Wind. Previously in the main hall, when he requested to send out troops, he was the one who kept rejecting him. Now, he was rejecting him again. Thunder God felt that he was at odds with Count of the Wind. Humph. Then I'll ask the Count of Wind to stay here. I'll bring some people out to take a look. Thunder God really didn't want to stay with him for even a second. He didn't care about the opinions of the others and left with his heavenly soldiers. When he left, Count of the Wind only glanced at him indifferently, but didn't say anything. Damn it, I just can't find anything wrong with that old guy. Why don't I report him no matter what? The God of Thunder snorted coldly as he left with his heavenly soldiers. At this moment, he saw a young boy flying towards him from afar on his firestorm wheels. Neza, why are you here? I don't want to stay with Uncle Count of the Wind either. Neza scratched his head. That Uncle Count of the Wind is so creepy. I can't take it anymore. So I told my dad that I came looking for you. Yeah, I don't want to stay with that old guy either, Thunder God snorted. I don't know what's wrong with that old guy, but I just don't think he's a good person. Let me tell you, when we couldn't get out for a long time, I thought it was because of that old guy. Count of the Wind and Master of Rain are proficient in maze formations, but he actually pretended to be at a loss. There's something wrong with that old guy. Neza's jaw dropped. There's no evidence. If there was, I'd definitely report him, Thunder God snorted coldly. But why would he do that? Neza was dumbfounded. Thunder God looked at him, reached out, and patted his head. You're still too young. You don't understand the world in the eyes of adults. That old guy naturally has his reasons for doing that. As he spoke, Thunder God led the group forward. They'd already been gone for an hour, but they still hadn't seen the teams from the underworld or immortal region. What are those people doing? Can't they have some sense of time? Look at the time. Brother, you will be fighting the demons soon, Thunder God complained. Thunder God kept complaining, but Neza, who was beside him, was tapping his lips with his finger. His cute little face was filled with confusion and confusion. Then tell me, why doesn't he want us to go out? I know that he mentioned that if we all leave, the Heavenly Court's defenses will weaken. Then he can totally go back himself, right? But why did he come with us again? Brother Yi probably didn't contact him, right? That's us dash. Just as Thunder God was about to speak, he inexplicably stopped. Yeah, why did he come with us? When we went to the Great Hall to ask for orders, we didn't see Count of the Wind and Master of Rain. Why did they come with us? I'm asking you. If I knew, why would I ask you? You're so stupid. Neza rolled his eyes. Yeah, you're asking me. Thunder God, who'd been looking for the teams from the immortal region and underworld, suddenly stopped. He stared behind him, wondering why Count of the Wind and Master of Rain had come with them. Just then, a prison guard of the underworld suddenly appeared in their line of sight. This prison guard soul was clearly on the verge of dispersing. Third Prince, Thunder God. What's going on? Why are you so badly injured? Thunder God grabbed the guard's arm. With his last breath, the guard said through gritted teeth, help us send a message back to the underworld. Leopard Tail and the others have betrayed us. The Ghost Marshal is in danger. We need help. What? Thunder God was shocked, but just as he was about to ask more questions, the guard had already breathed his last. Leopard Tail and the others have betrayed us. Thunder God's mind was filled with these words. Suddenly, his heart sank. Oh no, oh well, Li's in danger. Dumplings? Black Dragon's expression inexplicably trembled as he barked towards the demon warriors behind him. Retreat. This abrupt retreat signal startled all the demon warriors. They were already prepared to fight with the people of the three realms again, but now they were actually retreating. Ghoulie paused, then frowned. Your Excellency, Black Dragon, we've already come this far, yet you're retreating? If we don't retreat, are we supposed to wait for the people of the three realms to come and trap us to death? Scolded Black Dragon angrily. If they went any deeper, there would be no way out. When the Immortal Region's people arrived, all they could do was wait for death.